What up?
Alright.
We here?
We back.
Hey.
My expert opinion show, the greatest show in the
world. Hold on, we gotta do that over because they got to chime
No.
World too. Everybody has to say
They can catch it with the next part.
It's an echo.
Hit that like, hit that share, let everybody know you in here. Don't cost you no paper unless you's a mother.
Getting the hang of this. Okay.
That was good.
No beatbox?
Nah.
I don't even get the beatbox?
Nah, you gotta do the
we gonna
beatbox
dance
with the
and
brothers.
everything.
What?
We gonna dance and
We
everything.
gotta do the beatbox.
We dancing today, bro.
Shout out
No
to Champ.
beatbox.
What's good with you?
Everything's good, man. Shout out to Mr. Gyro, YKTV Magazine. Shout out to my boy Young Sleep. He got a new record out with Mickey Facts. That's fire.
Oh, fire.
Been following Mickey Facts for a while. I like him and Young Sleep.
One of the Bronx Flyers.
Yeah. Shout out to him and shout out to the clothing line, Love Not For Sale. Appreciate y'all merch and everything.
Big Chaz in the building.
Hey.
Sean Bigger, man of God.
Peace.
He talks a
That
lot.
needs to be said.
Not really.
Gat Facts.
You already. We in the building.
Shout out to Gusto with the Queen's pin and flat shorts. Nobody else can get but me. Appreciate you.
Shout to the brother Mav. Shout to the brother Mav Hoffa.
Word. Who should be here right now.
Yeah, already.
But he's busy. He has some other prior engagements.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What's her name?
Whatever. But we ain't gonna talk about stars who ain't here. We're gonna focus on the ones who showed up and what stars we have. Ladies and gentlemen, straight from Queens, one of, in my opinion, one of the under-celebrated duos in hip-hop history who deserve way more than they get. Way more than they get. Pioneers in movies, pioneers in clothing lines,
music,
pioneers in dancing, pioneers in production, pioneers in the crew love situation type thing. And then they still go on to kill it more and more. And not to mention the fact that they're from Queens, which automatically puts them a couple of levels up. Ladies and gentlemen, Kid and Play.
What's
Fellas, how are you?
Harlem on the rise.
That is not supposed to be the first thing you say after that intro.
I did my research on y'all too.
I'm from Brooklyn.
That's what you get. That's what you get.
Yeah.
Trader, jumping out the window.
I'm from Harlem. You good money.
Harlem, Brooklyn, Queens. You're supposed to help me.
Yeah,
All right.
it's tied up
In
right
Harlem.
now.
I will not err again.
Yeah, but yo, really happy to see y'all in the building.
Most definitely.
From like the BET Awards. Like I said, in my opinion, you guys are under-celebrated.
Y'all all was out there though, right?
Yeah,
we
Y'all
all
all was out there. Was y'all there for like the week?
Not me.
Yeah.
But they were.
Hey! Oh,
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
look
see
at
the
that.
picture?
Hey,
Yeah.
squad,
Strong was there.
Yeah, we was outside. We was there from Thursday to like Wednesday or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you
out
even
there.
stayed afterwards a few days.
Yeah, we stayed
Okay,
extra few
yeah.
days.
Nah, it was an extravaganza. Man. It was good to, I think that's how we
That's how we met.
Made
at the
it
hotel.
connect,
Yep, absolutely.
So it was BET Awards was, it was something to see,
Getting Funky, you performed my favorite Kid and Play song.
We did, right?
I was glad because we got Kid Capri, shout out to Kid Capri,
Yes.
musical director for the show that ended up becoming pretty much the host.
Word.
But he had picked that, and I was glad he did because I wanted to do something different, either that or Last Night or something. But I'm
do
glad
this my
that we were
way or
able to
something
do
like that.
something that was come from our beginnings, before things went more
Right.
pop, so to speak, as some would say, which I ain't mad at either. It's
Yeah.
about getting money, so
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. But
Exactly.
that was a good. He always looks out for it. He always chooses those beats. He's like, it's all right with the Ola A, and it ain't gonna hurt nobody, but let's
joint
keep
that
it hip hop.
slap.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I was glad
he gonna throw on.
I wasn't mad at
what he
him
wanna
at all.
throw on. So,
Did he put that whole set together though?
Pretty
Well,
much.
I think
the
it
way
was
came to me.
between him and hi-hat.
No, it was him.
He put the whole set
I mean,
together.
she had to work from that point up. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you guys
'Cause that's
work
when it
with?
first came to me.
Did you guys work with Kid Capri prior to that?
I'm
Like
glad
in
you
hip-hop
brought that up. We
history.
got an interesting story about Kid Capri.
Tell us about
Kid
it.
Capri will share. He usually brings it up before we bring it up. Is that the first tour he ever went on was with us.
He hadn't been out on the road.
We had our DJ. Shout out to DJ Wiz, Queens native as well. I felt we needed double power for a particular. I forgot what tour that was going to be, but I just felt we needed more power. So him being a friend of ours, I was like, yo, let's bring him out to bring that, what Kid Capri does. And we brought him out on the road with us. And it's the first tour he ever did, coming out, seeing different cities and states and all that. And he always
Yeah, at that point, I think he had New York or tri-state on lock. But I don't think he had ever really traveled like that before. And
I had to talk my crew into it a little bit because we didn't really see the vision.
Right.
It worked out.
I didn't see the vision at first, but once he got out there,
You killed it.
the vision was very clear. Very clear.
We should do what math normally does and start from the beginning.
Yeah, let's go down the
Now,
chronological.
I'm gonna do my best to not jump in because I know so much about y'all.
Right.
Like from the cartoon to nonstop to like
Right.
I know so much. I'm gonna let y'all, but I'm gonna jump in and sprinkle it. So
Yeah.
started off with 2 separate dance crews. You guys weren't in the
Two
same
separate
crew.
rap crews.
Rap crew, excuse me,
Right.
rap crews. You guys weren't in the same crew to begin.
No.
It was not.
Were the crews rivals? Give me the story. Just give me the story.
Turnout Brothers, Super Lovers. It was Quicksilver and the Super Lovers. We had a theme. All of the rappers had my full name is Playboy. We had Herbie Love Bug. We had Prince Charm. We had Romeo. So all of these were legendary lover lanes. So we was appealing to the female demographics.
Sound like
at the
R&B.
time.
Sound like R&B group.
None of that.
Sound kind of fruity to me.
Well, you know what? There was a lot of singing, but we loved Cold Crush.
Right.
They did a lot of singing and stuff like that. I remember one track we did was off of Shalimar's "Make This a Night to Remember." So it would be get ready, not tomorrow, but tonight. Playboy is gonna make this a night. And all like that. Then you got the harder ones, which was the Turnout Brothers. They were more towards the male demographic, and it was Kid Cool Out. That's his full joint.
Kid Cool.
Marky B,
Right.
Rockin' B.
Rockin' B.
Amin Ra, Ron Lawrence, who is known.
The Hitmakers.
Yes, with
the Hitmakers.
Diddy.
Yeah, but his name was Ronnie Tough back
Ronnie
then.
Tough back then. But he's responsible for Biggie's Notorious. No.
Hypnotized.
Hypnotized. And other big hits.
Yeah,
LL,
he's a hitman.
Aretha Franklin, all of that.
And then him and D-Dot had a group together, Two Kings in the Cypher.
Two Kings in the
And then
Cypher.
Clevio, don't forget.
Clevio the Rothschild. So the connection was their DJ, who became an MC, Rockin' B, was literally biological brothers with Romeo and our crew. So it was always a friendly competition, but a competition nevertheless. Because back then something went on that you don't hear about with crews today. There was something called practice. We used to meet in someone's basement.
We talking about practice.
Yes, we meet in someone's basement and practice these routines. So they would be like precise when it was time to hit the stage. So those were the two groups.
Yeah, we were all homeboys. We were all friendly, but when it came time for these, local jams or at Flushing High or local high school
Jamaica,
jams, we're trying to win. We were trying to win. We get real secretive. You know what I'm saying? Like we in my basement practicing. They at Herbie's practicing. And if we would go back and forth. Well, some nights they would bust our ass, and other nights we would come out on top.
Right.
So
and it was so funny because we would always have to go, okay, who won the last one? Because whoever won the last one would more than likely the other group was going to win the next one. It would always go back and forth.
Because you was mad, you was Aggie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You was like, you saw what they did to us. So you got to get your outfits right. You got to.
Oh, all of that.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, we ended up doing Harlem World, all of those, the big rap contests and stuff they would have.
those
it
were
would be
tough.
a big thing to see
were
our
tough
name on
days.
those flyers. If we was prepared, I could show you them.
Yeah,
but because like we said, we save all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
collect those flyers from back in the day. But with all of this being said, it was interesting as we grew competitive-wise because they became a favorite of the Supreme team. They would hang out with that radio station, Force MDs, the whole nine coming out of Staten Island. We became favorites with Curtis Blow, we won at the Disco Fever like 3 times. Actual trophies in the whole 9. That's how I met Curtis
And Jelly Bean.
and Jalil from Houdini that introduced us to Jelly Bean Benitez, who was like the #1 remixer. He would like remix people's hit records. His girlfriend at the time was Madonna, so say no more.
Whatever happened to her?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So as we're climbing and climbing, but just fast forward, you ever remember that scene in the Five Heartbeats or either the Temptations movie where it's like the groups ain't making money, so cats begin to say, you know what, I'm quitting, we ain't doing anyway, go to get a regular job.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened with both the crews, and just fast forward, we were the two men left standing out of our individual groups, and
Just like,
you know,
looking
we became
like-
Fresh Force.
Oh,
So
God,
I'm pretty sure
Fresh
you're ready to get into that. So
No, we don't. I'd rather bloop over that.
Nah, we got to get into it, man. You gotta
front
know.
on Fresh
All
Force.
that has to happen.
Yeah, we need
Well,
more.
but to Play's point, you know, everybody started because I don't think we were at that point, but not everybody in the groups was at that point where they really saw a significant future doing this. You know, we were still just kind of doing it to be doing it. We wasn't really making any money.
We doing it to get with the girls.
Yeah,
That's
doing it
what
to
we
get
do.
with girls, doing it to
I
you
know I
know
was.
get props, get props neighborhood wise, Queens wise, or what have you. And I think it got to the point where everybody else had just kind of broke out, and it was me and Play, and you know we were already hanging out like every day anyway. We lived around the corner from each other.
And you
Literally.
know what, before you go any further, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a big shout out to DJ Baby J, who used to be at the USA roller skating ring in Jackson Heights. That place was phenomenal because they were the ones that first brought around Run DMC with Sucker DJ,
Soul Sonic
Sucker MC,
Force.
Soul Sonic Force, all of them. He believed in us. And then, you know, went on to other people we met, Richard Ahi and Lenny Brown, and then Jelly Bean Benitez and all of that. But DJ Baby J, I got to give him a shout out. Baby Horror.
He's still alive?
Very much so. He just came out with a book.
Damn.
Just came out with a book.
A Libro. He's Puerto Rican. He's Puerto Rican.
That's part of the story that I find so interesting. I don't think people understand that you guys were literally the bridge between schools, the bridge between eras. Like the guys who you're mentioning that you came up wanting to impress are like founders, like founding fathers. And then for you guys to go from that and then enter into the era with Run DMC, Salt and Pepper, like here comes Redhead King, here comes this whole other era that you end up fathering, but you were the bridge between those two schools.
Well, and I think we're old enough to remember when there wasn't hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we were one of those groups that we initially had one foot in that old R&B flavor, you know, WBLS type shit. And then yeah, part of a bridge or spanning to this new kind of era, which was, like I said, was very exciting. But I don't know that we really saw a future. I think at that time maybe we were like, I don't know, we wasn't trying to have a job.
We were happy enough to have enough money to get a cheeseburger deluxe at the
Yeah,
diner.
yeah. And I was
You
still in school anyway. I was going to school. Play was always working. You know, Play working.
Working
I mean,
where?
he had every job, Joe.
Not in the beginning.
This dude,
Not in the beginning.
for a while, he worked at the airport. We grew up right near LaGuardia Airport, right?
Not in the beginning.
So he had. Well, we can jump to that because this is a good
You
story.
have to skip it over a very important part of it. I wasn't legal for a minute, you know what I'm saying? So,
No, he wasn't. But you
Wait,
know,
what?
look, we both had really dominant and strong fathers. His father and my father. My father was a Jamaican, you know, force of nature. You know, his father was was a really, you know, a dominant and you know, just a strong image, and you know that's who we were. You know, that's who we were ruled
You're
by.
doing some serious editing.
No, you want to go back and talk about it?
No, I mean, we keep it at 100.
Yeah, we have to. It's a barbershop. You got to keep it a stack.
My father, when I do my speaking engagements, I describe him as an urban pharmaceutical engineer.
We know what that
You know,
He was
my
outside.
father
Major
was
hustler.
out here. You talking about that Nicky
outside.
Bonds era, Guy Fisher, the whole nine. So my father actually made the front page of the New York Post for robbing a bank. You know what I'm saying? So you try either subconsciously or consciously to be like your father or impress your father, and especially coming up in an age of that 70s exploitation films, you know, Cotton Comes to Harlem and Black Caesar and all of that.
Hell Up in
So
Harlem.
seeing how my father was living with the big all-white Continental Mark IV car, dressed to the nines, the whole nine, and his associates and things of that nature, that was my hero, subliminally or consciously, and that's what I wanted to be. Then we're coming up in an era of Fat Cat, Alpo, all of them. These are my, hero. We didn't have rappers to look up to. Didn't have a black president to look up to. All we saw was what was before us and seeing people survive and trying to make it. So my father was about that life. He was getting to the point where my father turned his life around and became a minister after doing hard time and all of that stuff. But in the meantime, I got kicked out of 5 high schools. I was out there, I was out there.
He was 5 for 5.
I was out there sticking people up and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, name the high schools you got kicked out of.
Art and Design.
Yep.
You got kicked out of A&T? You got kicked out. Wow.
Hillcrest, Jamaica,
Shout out to Hillcrest.
Flushing,
Yep.
and I want to say Bryant, and ended up barely getting my GED.
Did you? How about you didn't get thrown out of Newtown?
No, I wasn't in that zone to be able to go there.
Yeah.
Shut up. Just missed it.
So I mean, I'm not glorifying this. This was the path that was before me at the time, but to go a little bit further, like when I finally got introduced to him, he was refreshing because I'm seeing someone that's making an effort to be cool, but at the same time very educated. And it got to a point in my life where things started getting scary. My father was fed up because when my father did his last bid, he was on a real lengthy probation. It was for the grace of God that they cut his time, but he was on probation. With me, I had certain tools that weren't supposed to be in the home that they were to do a surprise visit with him and find that there, he would go back to finish doing his time. It didn't make no difference what was in the house, who brought it in. It wasn't supposed to be around him. Right. So he took it out on me when he would find those things like, you trying to get me whatever.
Whose man's is this?
You know what I'm saying? So that was just a very interesting section. So in order for Kid and I to just to jump real quick and we could go back, the reason why we love the movie Class Act that we did, that's my personal favorite, is because we were able to draw from what really went on in our lives and our relationship and our home environment, to a certain degree.
Yeah, I gotta ask this before.
Did y'all write that movie?
No, that movie was really intended for some other actors, some
like
other high points, some real big time, but they had it,
They rewrote it
on the shelf for a long time. And when we met with Warner Brothers, who wanted to do business with us real bad, they were able to find that script and they gave us scripts to want to know what we were interested in. When we read that script, we both looked at each other like, somebody eavesdropping in on our life.
They just had to rewrite it. They just had to, they just had to blacken it up. You know what I'm saying?
My question for you, Play, before we move forward for you, is what was the defining moment at that time in your life when your father's in the crib and he's on probation and he's getting his life together? What was it that happened, the straw that broke the camel's back, that made you said, I'm not fucking with this no more?
The one that quickly comes to mind was the birth of my first son.
How old were you at that time?
Oh, mid-20s,
okay,
around. But when it's it was time to get my life together. I'm seeing my father, who was subconsciously my hero. Some young men don't really want to say that about their fathers, but we all want that father. You know what I'm saying? Especially in that era. And just seeing him admitting he's wrong, seeing everything that he went through to get his life. He went back to school, 2 schools, as a matter of fact, and got his degree. And he just had to, because a lot of people, when he claimed Christ, Jesus in his life, people thought he was just claiming that to get, get a break. Yep. And it just took a while for people to really see he was really about that new life and stuff. So for me to see that, get around better people to be affiliated with, Kid, Bronx High School of Science, Herbert H. Lehman College, all of that stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? And just things like that. I'm seeing these signs, meeting a grandmother that I never really met before who was, born again Christian, and just the signs was there. And just seeing people that I did admire getting either killed or going to prison. And I didn't see really how things was going to be any different for me. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And that was like a thing. And so, like I said, eventually, as our friendship was kind of evolving, we tended to kind of lean on each other because I didn't know nothing about none of that stuff that he was doing. And I'm back then. I got a big afro. I got the thickest glasses you ever want to see. I'm like,
But he always had the fresh Adidas. Real talk. He was like a real, you know what I'm saying? Back then you would iron your jeans, so his jeans would be the Jordache jeans, the Jordache, the Sergio Valente. And I'm like, this guy's kind of corny, but he kind of cool too. So I could take a little of that and mix it with my thing.
Yeah,
and then
you like corny fresh.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I can do something with this. You know,
So I won't
and
stick
get a
up
whole
this guy.
different level of woman too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As well.
Woman, I was like, woman, what's that?
Yeah, you know, for me, I said,
It's funny because none of that is reflected in the music that you made.
Right.
It's a complete 180. The life you're describing versus the first
Right.
Kid and Play album,
Right.
where we got to know who you guys were. None of that is reflected.
but is that any different than your job? You know what I'm saying? It's like when you think about a person that, just say a young lady that's a bank teller or a dude, you see them in what they supposed to be wearing. But when you see them on their day off, they ain't nothing
Something
like
different.
It's the persona or the image and stuff. So to me, they said, like I said, for me, it was about girls. So it's like, they told me girls like guys who spun on their heads and break dance. I'm like, I'll try that. The girls like guys who rap. Okay, I'll try. Okay, I got a little talent with that. With the help of him and some others, I could do that. I ain't got to go be behind bars and all that kind of stuff, and this will work, and we had the luxury, too, of still living in our parents' home. So there was a lot of coverage, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there
with
was
that.
coverage,
Yeah.
but that coverage comes at a cost.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What course is that?
Well, I mean, I think for both our fathers, but in particular, my father, they did not understand what this hip hop thing was about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't know about it at all. And my father, is Jamaican immigrant. He was all about education. He just didn't get it. He just knew I was out late at night, coming in 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So you
no
get it.
money.
No money. But I'm still in school. But I think at that point maybe
We had enough for cheeseburger deluxe.
Yeah, but that ain't really no money.
AKA money.
White Castle on a bad day. White Castle on a Tuesday.
So my father was just, like and I'm sure a lot of parents from that era, they couldn't see. We could barely see it.
Right.
But we were attracted to it like a moth to a flame.
Right.
So we're going out every weekend. We're going in, and I would, I'd come in 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. He comes in, and then so you get a beat down, and then you want punishment for 2 weeks. You can't go nowhere. Then when the punishment's over, right back out.
Do it again.
3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Come back, beat down. You down for 2 weeks. Soon as that's over, right back out. So my father, he doesn't know what to do.
So that's seeing that House Party 1.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Robert Harris
That's exactly what happened to you on House Party 1.
Oh,
I wouldn't do that just yet.
No, he never went for the belt. My father was about them hands. He had these big Jamaican
paws.
ham hands.
Put
and
the
shit.
paws on.
But it
Put
was
the
in that.
balls on.
It was conceptualized.
Yeah, no
wouldn't
doubt.
do that if
And he was
if I were you.
he was confused, and he was, I would hear him talking on the phone, to our relatives, and he said, "I don't know what to do. I beat him, and I beat him, and I beat him again, and the boy still won't go to the party." So this is what we were going through. But then, this actually happened. We was doing a show, probably at the Holiday Inn, something like that.
Into that, right?
He saw a flyer. Maybe I left a flyer sitting around on the table. And my father's curious, man. He's just like, man, I got to figure out why I can't beat it out of this kid. So he said, okay, let's write down the block. Excuse me. So unbeknownst to me, he goes to the show, the local show.
You want some water, bro? You get some water?
I got
You
tequila.
got a water right there.
You got tequila.
See that,
You got a water right there.
you see that word he just said, beknownst to him? Those are words I needed to
Unbeknownst,
learn
yeah.
from
I got
him. Hanging out with
Mexican
him.
water. No, So when I got back from that show, he was there. He was sitting in the kitchen, and he's flyer, and I'm like, "What's going on?" He said, "I went to your little show tonight," and I got excited. I'm like, "Well, you know, what'd you think?" He said the music was very loud, but he started to see what it was. He saw we was just young kids playing music, kicking it. Wasn't no nefarious shit. He wasn't, you know, we wasn't hustling. We wasn't doing nothing like that. So then, you know, they start to understand, and I think your father was the same way. You know, when these men have to see some kind of results.
Mine was a little different. Did you ever ask that question? Do you remember the first time you heard your record on the radio? Mine's happened right on time because the day that happened, WBLS played it. It was last night.
Yeah.
This is the first time he was calm because I think he was at his end with me. And to make a long story short, he was saying the speech to kick me out. It was time for me to leave the nest. Out.
Right.
But as he's talking to me, I guess the words were, you know, I love you, son. This hurts me more than it's gonna hurt. All of that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to hear last night. So back then was the all-in-one, the record player, the radio, and the cassette player, all in one.
Right.
So I'm hearing it, and I'm looking over. I'm trying to be respectful of him, getting ready to do what's inevitable to do, and I'm looking over the thing, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's the cassette tapes that I left in the player, and
from the
maybe
studio,
back then it had an automatic rewind. If it went to the end, it'd flip over. So I said, well, maybe I left the tape in there and whatever, and I'm looking at the tape part, and ain't no tape moving, but I'm looking at the rest of the thing, and I'm seeing the radio, and he's saying this thing like, son, I'm sorry to, and I just, yo, and he's like, what? He's like, what's going on? He said, like an earthquake is gonna go, and it was my record, our record, playing for the first time on the radio, WBLS. Didn't give him a chance to finish. It's like something right out of the movies, rushing out of the house, trying to find somebody, trying to find him, trying to find Herbie. Yo, did you hear whatever? So it gave me more time to live.
What was his response to
Hearing you on the radio.
You know, I don't know because I didn't stick around to see what his but I do know years later, we were sitting in his car, sitting in front of the house, and one of the several humble moments I had with him, he said, in his way, apologizing for just not seeing what this would come to, what we were doing. The kid described, never giving up, hanging in there, never knew after the umpteenth car I bought him, this. You know, everything is just lovely now. And I'm just saying, wow, I just had no idea that this would come to this, you know, movies and, you know.
Yeah.
But like he said, there was no way to see that.
There was no template.
No,
there was no template for this.
You had to
Like
figure it out as you
these
went
kids,
along.
these kids that grow up today, and God bless them for that. They've never known a life without hip hop.
that, right.
You know what I'm saying? And now they're at a point where, there are careers in this. When we were starting out, you didn't have that. We didn't have that luxury. We couldn't think that far ahead. We had no idea what the things that we would eventually accomplish that would even come into play. And so if we didn't know about it, they sure didn't.
They didn't, no.
But later on when they see the benefits of the fruits of our labor.
You know, we took them out to LA. We took our fathers out to LA and all paid expense trip. Put them in the fanciest cars they could probably imagine one. And I know I put them on a Lexus and all of that stuff that was the thing at the time.
Yeah.
But 5-star treatment. My father lost his mind. His number one fighter is Tommy Hearns. To me, Tommy Hearns came to one of our premieres. And he's got this picture still in his place today of them two putting up a pose, getting rid of the box, telling them meeting people like Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes and Phyllis Hyman and all of these people that became friends. Yeah. You know, it just was amazing. He has a crush on Yolanda Adams. You know, all of that stuff.
My father, his thing was when we brought him out to the Image Awards, and I think I got nominated for Image Awards. So we bring him out there. We're out there, and he had a thing for Dionne Warwick. So we're in the thing with him. He's like, I'm like, yo, what's going on? Is that Dionne Warwick? I said, yeah, that's Dionne Warwick, man. Man, if I meet Dionne Warwick, man, introduce me to Dionne Warwick. So I introduced him to Dionne Warwick. He take a picture of Dionne Warwick. Yeah. He take a picture with Lou Gossett.
All of that.
And those are those things those are those
That
things
makes it worth
that,
it.
yeah, man. Like like you said, you buying, you know what I'm saying. He bought his father a car. I bought my father a car, and blew their minds. And I can't tell you what kind of satisfaction is that. And I know these cats, these youngins today, they do the same thing. I know they do for their families and their people.
Sure.
And they have a lot more revenue with which to do it.
Right.
We were at that point where, like, first big chunk I got, first big chunk we got, that's where we went. I didn't even know where the next chunk was coming from necessarily. I said, but I have to do this. I have to do this. I had to buy this man a car. You got to, you know what I mean? Or whatever you want to do. Or come out here and this and that. And they riding in limousines and they just, you know what I mean?
I think the thing that stood out the most was I remember we have a great relationship with the NBA. We was always doing their stay in school NBA All-Star weekends. And I remember it was when Shaq first did his first All-Star weekend. I'm not as knowledgeable of the players as he or my son. And my son was little at the time. So I brought having a father and son, bringing my son out to one of the weekends we did. So I'm making sure they're laced in the room. My father was like, oh, you really got me out here to be babysitting, to do anything with my son. And I'm calling to check on them. And I said, how's everything going? Well, everything's good. Son's on the floor, playing with his new friend, games and stuff. I'm like, what friend? I'm kind of go like, who's in your room? Whatever. Go in there and like a big kid, which he is, Shaq, and my son is playing video games, just chilling. And my father, and it's like, this is what it's all about. This is just to be able to do those things, and for our baby mamas as well, all of that as well. Hey, yeah, you gotta look out, man. I mean,
no, and then
they hold it down.
And then the funny part is how when they get into that, I know as far as my father was concerned, now he's getting into it. He sees we're having success, I'm having success. So now he wants to get into it and, yes, man, me see your boy on the TV, man. Yes, Chunky D, I see your boy, Chunky D. I said, don't you mean Heavy D? Heavy D, Chunky D, and my big boy.
Rest in peace, everybody.
I remember one time when his father had complained to me and another good friend of ours, Romeo, that he felt like stardom had gone to his head because he kept trying to contact him and he wasn't getting any response. And we're like, yo, you taking it too far now. You're not responding to your father. And this was during the time I think he was always wearing the wafers, like even at nighttime, he's wearing dark glasses. So we're hanging out with his father in the street, talking. His father's like, I don't understand him. He won't return my calls. And we're like, boo, this ain't no good. Finally, kid rolls up and we make them deal with the issue. It's like, yo, why aren't you returning your father's call? When do you call? When do you call? So back then it was 1-800-SKY-PAY.
SkyTel.
It was one of those. Come to find out the whole time his father was dialing 1-800-SKY-KING.
That's my dialing number, 1-800-SKY-KING. And the boy don't want to answer me.
So come about all this time, they're not having any communication because he's dialing the wrong thing and his son's not getting back to him. But I know we did a lot of editing fast forward. Where we last left off was being Fresh Force.
Yes. Because I definitely wanted.
Who
came up with the name
I'll say this. This was our path.
Yeah.
You gotta make bad records before you make good records, or you gotta make records that people don't know or that aren't successful before you hit your stride and you learn about what it is to make a record and what the dynamics of the group are. So some of our early records was like we're just trying to get on.
Right.
So we're making records that are just taking advantage of what's going out there. We're trying to latch on to what's going out there.
Trend.
So my Adidas is hot. My Adidas, right? So we made a record called She's a Skeezer. That's my
Yeah, parody, what you call parody.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't necessarily agree with his take on that. I think those records did what those records needed to do. And if they were that bad, I don't think anybody beat how many times we performed at the Latin Quarter. Based off of those, we had one called All Hail the Drum, She's a Skeezer. Falco had a record called Rock Me Amadeus. We did a parody called Rock Me.
Yeah.
We also did, we wrote one for some girls called If Girls Rule the World, which was a comeback on Curtis Blow's If I Rule the World.
Right.
Yeah. I get what he's saying, but I saw what those things did. Yes, they did help us hone our craft and our skills and all of that. But we performed. We did a lot of shows off those roads. We did a lot of Latin Quarter again.
No,
It
that's
got
true,
to the
but-
point we'd be like, Latin Quarter once is back again. We did a lot of stuff in Ohio, believe it or not. A lot of stuff in Philly. Philly doesn't get the props that they deserve for hip hop, period. Because New York
Now-
didn't put
now maybe.
New York didn't put hip hop on regular rotation before Philly did. And a big shout out to Lady
That's
B.
interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Lady B,
Lady B,
JoJo,
yes,
Colby
all
Cole,
of them.
all them Philly dudes. They was playing hip hop during the day.
Yeah, regular
I
rotation.
think before some of
They
these
were.
New York DJs was doing it.
deep.
And on
Really?
prime time, because with Mr. Magic, God
Yeah,
bless
not
his
just
soul,
on the weekend or
he
whatever
was
like
on WHBI. What was it? The thing
He was on HBI before he got to BLS.
BLS. So we were doing a lot of shows there. It would be so interesting because there was a popular place in Queens. My man would know. What's the diners? Diners. The Deerhead,
Deerhead, the
Buccaneer.
Buccaneer.
And what's the other one? It was three of them. Well, the Buccaneer was the spot for whatever reason. Kane would have a gig somewhere in far off Jersey or Philly. We would have one in Philly. Bismarck, all of this. This diner would be where everybody
Eric B.
would come. Eric B. No matter what time we all finished, coming in late at night, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, and really the 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, we'd all meet there unintentionally to enjoy our food, cheeseburgers deluxe. Back then, we was able to afford surf and turfs and shrimp scampi and all of that kind of stuff. But that was very interesting that we would all end up coming from shows from other places outside of New York.
So I think we
Has Kid and Play been born yet?
No, that would be
No.
Not yet.
That would be
that wasn't and that was to me that was the game changer.
Right.
Because by this time, we're out here, we're on Sutra Records, which is the same label that
Fat
Fat
Boys.
Boys was on and whatnot. And we're doing our thing. We're making a little bit of noise, but certainly not anything really loud. But at the same time, this is when Herbie is blowing up, Dana Dane, Salt and Pepper, and these, and Herbie's, they was in the same group. We all still know each other, know, and we felt like they had kind of passed us by, type stuff. But we still had a desire to kind of work with each other. And so I think at that point, the Sutra deal went left because it was just like we weren't making enough noise.
Right.
And so we coming back to our neighborhood and Herbie's like, well, what y'all want to do? He said, y'all gonna do something together. Maybe we gotta rebrand.
Well, he didn't have to reinvent the wheel as well. We had a nice little momentum going in the tri-state.
Yeah, a little bit. At least
We'll
we
put it
know.
like that.
At least we knew our way around the recording studio.
Right.
So at that point, Kid, Cool Out, and Playboy became Kid and Play.
Whose idea was that?
Yeah, the shorten.
It was both ideas.
Well,
I think,
when you
as I
become
recall.
my full name is Christopher. If you're real
Right,
familiar
right,
with being
yeah.
close, you're gonna call me Chris for short. It's got the same name. So we already had that name because we're all close with each other. And then guys ain't really interested in dubbing another guy Playboy, so he's gonna call him Play for
Right,
short.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Kid, Cool Out, just call him Kid for short. We all know our full joints, but we're all extremely close to each other. So it really just evolved. It was just organic to just like, Kid and Play.
And
I didn't know why my name was last, but they tricked me in. Well, more things rhyme with play. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Playing
And I
Kid.
think we were taking a page.
Playing Kid,
Playing Kid.
Yeah, only because y'all been bamboozled and brainwashed into knowing it.
After all these years, it's still a problem. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Wait, but I think we also took a page out of the like Salt and Pepper just flows so easy. Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play. And sometimes when you hear it's like anything. It's like an idea about a concept or idea about a record. When you hear it, you know it. Kid and Play. Yeah, that's it. Kid and Play.
A lot
It
of
describes
the
us.
radio people didn't know how they call Stargirl Sid and Clay. They couldn't get, what? They couldn't get to that. Oh, we ran into all kinds of
I
things.
remember that. I remember that.
Oh, I do. I remember a radio guy when he said it by accident, like Sid and Clay. He was half listening to what somebody was telling him our name was. He was like, "Oh, Sid and Clay."
So I mean, Kid and Play just seemed like it really naturally described who we were at that point. We weren't Fresh Force anymore because what the fuck is Fresh Force? It's some, you know.
It was a force that was.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Who came up with that? Who came up with that name?
Because back then
Fresh
the term
was high. Fresh was high.
name.
You talking about 86, 87?
Yeah, yo, that's fresh.
I still say fresh.
Yeah, it was a slang.
Yeah, but it's so old that it's back. It comes back around
That's
now.
true.
That's how that shit is. I say it too.
I say groovy.
I say funky fresh.
You say groovy.
I say groovy all the Chaz.
So this new
She takes on pride in
nigga.
this new name.
You old nigga.
Grown.
This new name we got is coinciding with the fact that we're working with Herbie Lovebug now. This is a whole nother ball game.
Right.
Who doesn't get the props he deserves as a producer?
I agree.
One of those mastermind producers who put all these
And
groups
so,
together.
Yeah,
And
he
He
helps
created
us.
the blueprint. He was part of a
He
big
helps
part of the
us
early
get
blueprint.
a deal over at Select Records, which at that time had UTFO, Real Roxanne. You know, they were up and coming independent label. The guy that ran Select was a big fan of Herbie's. I mean, a lot of these independent labels, the Profiles, the Sleeping Bags, all those, they always wanted to know, like, what's Herbie's next group going to be? Because they saw what he did with Dana Dane. They saw what he did with Sweet Tea. They saw what he did with Salt and Pepper. So they were like, well, what is it? Who are the next motherfuckers that he's fucking with? We want in.
And I remember being there. We was that was a great time in music and in independent labels. It was a great time, you know, when they ruled. Because they were able to see the vision where the majors didn't want to really recognize rap, you know. So the thing was, we was at some industry party or something like that, and Fred Moneo rolled up on him and said, yo, I want to know, you know, what you're doing, you know, who's next, whatever. And I was standing right next to him, and he pointed, you might have been there too, I just know he pointed right to us and said, them. And he's like, let's get together. It was on a weekend, so let's get together Monday and let's make it happen. Sight unseen.
I don't think people get that significance of what you just like. Majors were not signing rap acts. You could only be signed as a hip hop artist on an indie label.
And if they did, they weren't putting the proper support and muscle behind them. It's like, let's throw them out there.
Like a novelty
But
act.
the indies, that meant everything. That meant
Sorry.
That meant everything to the indies in regards to these are the cats that's, you know.
And then later on, they gobbled them up. But
Right.
You know, the labels from back in the days and now, like, what's the difference?
Well, they first of all, like when you look at real estate with mom and pop stores, what the malls end up doing to the mom and pop stores, you know, the hardware stores, all these, and just came. So now that's when the indies finally saw the vision and saw the payoff, they bought a lot of them out. They bought their, you know, I know for us,
but the thing
we
about
went under the big umbrella of
they came later. The big conglomerates came later to buy, and they would pick and choose. They would look at Select Records roster and say, okay, we want him. We don't want them. We don't think, you know, they want Kid and Play. You know, when Atlantic comes or Elektra comes, they want Kid and Play. Maybe they want Chubb Rock.
We had hot ones there, UTFO.
UTFO
And
was
then
up
they had
in there.
Full Force.
But Full Force was
the
affiliated
music
with
in the
them.
right with a lot of them.
Howie
They were
T,
hot.
the man
It was a
Howie
good
T.
label to be with. Yeah.
So back in that era of the record labels, if you were on the independent prior to major coming into play, it was almost like the growth and development of the artist.
Right. And also too,
Right.
this is what I'll say. Look, you could, the label's so small, like you could walk right into the dude's office and be like, yo, what's going on? You know, when you get to those big labels, that's not you can't walk into
So
you can't walk into Doug Morris's office. You can't walk into
to the major.
Eventually,
Lil Silas' office. But
I
these
mean,
young,
the indies rules that around that time, the 80s or early 90s, it was the indies because they had Run DMC. I think the thing that went on too was Russ able to get because Run DMC people don't remember they were part of an indie. The Curtis became part of was it Columbia?
No, I think it was.
Who was he? Because he
It was
the
a big
first-
label. It was a big
He was the
label.
first That's why you don't get the
He's
credit.
one of the first
He
ones.
deserved. First one
Arista.
signed to a major.
Wasn't it Arista?
No, it wasn't Arista because
No, it
Arista
wasn't
wasn't even
Arista.
really around then.
It was, but it was a big one. He was one of the first big ones that they poached.
Yeah, they had him. Then you had the labels were Profile, Sutra, all of that. I'm trying to think because you had Eric B. and Rakim. That was Broadway,
Fourth and Broadway.
Fourth and Broadway. It was all indies.
Which was,
all
I think,
indies.
which was Island Records outside. You know what I'm saying? All these different little. But we were part of this thing.
Next Plateau. That was who Salt and Pepper was signed to.
Next Plateau, Salt and Pepper was on Next Plateau. Run DMC was on Profile.
Profile.
You know, Mantronics, and when EPMD first started out, Sleeping Bag. When it first, you know what I mean? All these different independent labels were leading the charge.
Fever Records. Fever
Records, they was doing all them club shit. Show me you.
We had Sweet, no, but you had Sweet G. You had Sweet G with Gaines People
Yeah, you remember all
Play.
them Spanish girls you used to fuck with? Yeah, they was on that.
Yeah, Sweet G with Gaines People Play. That was a big New York record.
Gaines People Play, yeah.
So you could see the things starting to change. But getting back to the thing, when we started making records with Herbie, the whole thing changed because of him. Now we're making records at a much higher level. He's giving he's giving us his producing talents, which are killing the game. Like I say, you got Salt and Pepper killing it. And what he also does is he makes us raise our game. I know he made me raise my game, as a writer.
Right.
Because I'm thinking everything I write is a shit. He's like, nigga, that shit is whack.
My game had already risen. But anyway, but I do want to, you know what, because this is a good point. I don't want to leave people out. As far as those early records in which we learned and got better with, and they did its thing. Big shout out to Charlie Casanova. That was the producer that was producing those records and believed in us big time. Because what we went through, what we call the van era. This van, he had no windows in it, hot as I don't know what in the summertime.
Right.
No furniture in the back, no seats or whatever. There we are. As a matter of fact, when we were shopping around to finally get a deal before there was Sutra Records, people knew us. Like we was out there every week trying to get a deal.
Trying to get on.
And Charlie Casanova, well known for his remixes, little under John Jellybean Benitez. The word was out there, we saw Charlie and his two little niggas. That was what we was called back then. Out there trying to get a deal.
That sounds crazy.
It sounds so.
Did Herbie?
The biggest label then.
Well, the majors, but as far as
but that's
the
when
ones
Def
who
Jam was just
the ones
starting to
who
pop
ruled
off.
it had to have been Profile with Run DMC, and they had Dana on that label.
And then
as well.
that's when Def Jam started to pop off.
And that's what I was going to ask.
And
Did
trust me,
did
we
Herbie
used
and
to
Russell
sweat
have a
them.
relationship?
but Def Jam ended up being distributed by Columbia
They did.
eventually,
Right.
But they couldn't get Run and them on there because Run and them was locked on
It was
Profile
locked on
Records.
Profile.
So with Def Jam, you had LL Cool J, BC Boys, all
Run
of that.
DMC.
So that was a defining moment. That was huge.
And they were still running Rush
Managed by
Management, right?
Rush.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and trust me, we were so determined to get with, and I think this was even before we started working on Herbie. We would go down to Rush Management. We'd be down there like damn near every day, and we would sit in their waiting room, hoping that they would call us in and we could tell about, and they never did.
No,
They
one
would
time
they
he
would
let
keep
us
you
in.
waiting us.
Remember when we met him and it was almost like the
Who,
Wizard
Andre?
of No, I'm talking about the Russell. It was almost like meeting the Wizard of Oz because we ended up going and he just had this one desk and chair. He was eating a Subway sandwich.
I don't remember.
Nothing big. No, because remember he said, it's nothing I can do with y'all. I wouldn't know what to do with y'all because that was when he was managing a lot of artists that weren't on
Yeah, we was.
Def Jam.
Jam, yeah.
Yeah, we
But
was like,
he
you
was
can manage
that.
us.
He was. That's why it was a big deal when Eric B says and Eric,
We rolling with Rush.
It was a big. That was a status thing. No, we met him. I remember he was eating a Subway sandwich.
I remember Andre used to be down there.
Yeah.
Leo
And it was like
down there.
Nothing we could
and
do.
Russell
Nothing we
was
could do
down
with
there.
you. It's nothing I wouldn't know what to do
But
with you guys.
you know what?
How could he not figure out what to do with Kid? Well, never mind.
No, but at that time because we weren't even Kid and Play then.
Oh,
This was
okay,
even
that's
before. This
where
is
we
still
are
fresh
story.
for us.
Yeah.
And they like,
Yeah.
you niggas.
I don't
is
even
fine.
know if we had a deal with Sutra at that time or whatever. It was just us. We be out there huddling. We out there on them subways.
Was the flat
whatever
top in
it took.
existence yet?
No, it was not.
See, okay.
It was
All right.
not in the Fresh Force days.
Pre-Fre-
No, I looked
pre-Flat
mad
Top.
Puerto Rican. I had like,
Oh,
I looked like this. I had
we
like,
were sponsored by Benetton. We was rocking Benetton
Yeah, we was looking-
outfits
yeah,
and
we
stuff
was
back
looking
then.
real
That's how far
saucy.
back that goes.
Corduroys and all that.
it was looking
Yeah.
spicy.
And we had a mannequin that looked like a space
Like a robot.
alien. He was in that was the force.
That's-
It was
that was-
us on both sides with our
You
Benetton
know, like I said,
outfits and-
these are the bumps
Yeah.
before you get, before you get the thing. And so,
You get with Herbie.
yeah, so we were Herbie, and now, he got us a deal over at Select. And what they used to do back in the days, they didn't give you an album deal right off the rip,
Single deal.
single deal. So we had last night. It was a good, Tri-State. That record was hot. It was hot. We made some noise with that.
Storytelling song.
That was
as the
and that was
first
hot right
single.
then. And it was a good story. We're talking about going to Union Square and the shit popped
Trying
off.
not to get robbed, and he sets you up with a girl, and you think she's ugly, and then later on,
Your head
come
so
to find
bald
out
I could
she's
read your
cute.
mind, all that shit. And then
That was my favorite.
so then this is what they made
Broke
us
on
do.
her face, said it was a crime. He said
Said,
your head's so bald, I could read your mind.
That was his line. So we do last night, first single, let's make some noise. Second single was Do This My Way,
Finally got a music video.
which our first music video, which made even more noise.
But
Man.
that one was frustrating. Just to pause on that one, we knew for sure. Like last night had a great buzz, but when we did Do This My Way, we knew. Well, first of all, what we went through for Herbie to finally get it the way he wanted it to be, that was a perfectionist. But we knew we had a hit. This is it. The beat is banging. Ain't no way in the world this thing's gonna fail. Little did we know, somewhere in Harlem there was another similar beat.
Same sample.
Same sample,
Oh, man.
raw bass, and easy rock.
Oh, wow.
Right. But he left the woo yeah in.
Yeah, but
We took it out.
But still, yeah, that just cast a shadow on our joint. At best, when cats would rock his beat, the beat that they could put in with it would be ours. But the thing was, when Red Alert and them played it, they playing Rob Bass's joint.
Yeah.
We're beginning to hear our joint being mixed in there.
Blended, yeah.
Now it's time for commercial. Things like that way. So we will always have these so close but yet so far moments in our career
So all right, so that's two singles in. We still don't got an album deal.
with a dope video. Do This My
Dope
Way.
video,
was a
yeah.
dope
All right. But then the third song is Getting Funky, and we had a video for that. After that video, now they want to sign us for the first the Kid, the first
CD.
album of Too Hype. That's how they used to do it. Like you had to prove yourself 1, 2, 3. At least singles that made noise, streetwise or whatever. Then we got the deal, and then that's when we made all the other records.
And the great thing about Getting Funky was, I believe most DJs felt they kind of owed us one because of how hot Do This My Way was. But we had to deliver. So with that music video featuring all these dancers we put in it, that was shot in Harlem. The video was dope.
145th, St.
Yeah,
Nick.
the video was
Harlem
dope.
on the rise.
and DJs showed us love. They're like, yo, we kind of subliminally. It's not like they talked about it, but I felt like, you know what, this joint is dope. We can go ahead and rock.
Wait,
this
y'all
joint.
ever run into Rob Bass and Easy Rock during that
We
time?
do shows with them all the time.
No, back
back
talking
then.
about back
Talking
then.
about
Oh, back then,
then.
no.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like no beef. That was this is the thing. Excuse me. It worked out for them because I don't even know who produced that song. But Herbie was such a perfectionist and such a surgeon. He didn't want the woo yeah in there,
Yeah.
so he sliced it up out of there. Which, if you think about it, was super fly. But in retrospect, we probably should have left the motherfucker in there.
Well, the thing was, it wasn't easy to remove that part.
But he did it. That's how dope he was.
Andre DeBorg, our engineer,
Okay, yeah.
that's the cat that he kept.
Yeah. The
it
crew we
was
had.
frustrating at night. Cats wanted to fight that night. It's like, what do you want? He's like, you wanted that part, like Kid is saying, out. And I
We don't
remember
want that
how
in it. We just want
frustrating
the
that
beat.
was.
We want the beat cold. We want the
Yeah.
beat pure. We don't want the woo, yeah,
Right.
wow, yeah. We didn't want that.
That was a James Brown sample, right?
Lynn Collins.
Lynn Collins.
Lynn Collins?
Yeah, it sounds like it does. It does. It might be.
Well,
They was all down
Out
together.
of that camp. Yeah.
It was all down together.
Yeah, but getting funky slaps on a different level.
That's the hardest beat
Quicksilver.
Still.
we ever run.
Still, like that
beat is
song
hard.
slaps.
And yeah, DJ Quicksilver started it. Herbie landed the
Finessed
plane.
it, yeah.
You know how it is. Like it would be like the Hitman come up with a thing, but when it's time to mix it, here comes Diddy. Or here comes Herbie.
Dre.
I gotta, I'm gonna polish this. We're gonna land the plane, like yay. But yeah, after that, then this is when you really have to. All right, we got the album deal. Now we really have to kind of commit to. This is it, man. This might be our only fucking shot at this. I had a jobby job at the time.
Still, the album working now too.
Yeah.
But
What
the
you was
great thing
doing?
about that,
I was working. I was a homeless shelter counselor. I worked for the city. I worked at the Sumner Armory in Bed-Stuy.
Oh, in Brooklyn. Yeah.
That was a homeless shelter back in the days. My dad got me the job. My dad used to be the head of the whole homeless shelter system in the shelters in New York at that time. So I had that job out of college, and then
you went to college? Herbert
Yeah,
H.
yeah.
Lehman. That's what I
Yeah.
majored in.
I didn't see.
Demons, man.
I didn't see
He
any.
just said he was, you know what I mean?
Get away.
He was real intelligent at a young age.
No, we talked about all the
Yeah, no,
academics,
I-
but we
I
never
have a-
never
yeah.
got to the part where he enrolled in college as all
Oh no,
this
no,
is
I
happening.
did. If you know, excuse me, if you know Bronx High School of Science, just a block away is Herbert H. Lehman College. So that's why I went to college. I have a bachelor's in English literature.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, best 5.5 years of my life. But I got it, and so that's what I got the job based on that. But it was funny and I'm still pursuing this, as we're both working and we're still trying to jam and this is the thing. I knew that I had to give. Everybody had like different duties when it came to this first album. In terms of what we looked like, in terms of what we sounded like, in terms of what we were about. And I didn't feel like I could do that or I could live with myself. So I had to quit this job. I had to quit this job that my father gave me. Mm-hmm. And I did, and he wasn't happy about it. Mm-hmm. But I knew that meant I could go to the studio every day. And then I figured that, whatever happened with it, I felt like, man, we put it all out there. And we did. And, a lot of other things are happening at the same time. Herbie is growing in stature. Salt and Pepper is growing in stature. Dane the Dane, Herbie is establishing idol makers, not just the groups that he produces, but the groups that he manages. He's got Antoinette. He's got Kwame. He's got Sweet Tea. And so before you know it, we're part of a squad, a crew.
Well, the two things I want to say that's interesting is that we come out with last night. We come out with Do This My Way. We come out with Getting Funky and whatever follows that. The great thing that's happening is a CD/album is being developed. So now when this album comes out, cats already got 3 joints that they already love. You know what I'm saying? Now when it's time for touring or whatever, we ain't just worried about no one song and got whatever. We're known and we got something. I know for me, you got to have more than 2 or 3 joints for me to be interested in getting a CD or an album. So we're delivering that. But the other interesting thing that's going on is the fact that, like he's saying, things are developing now. We got music videos now. And that was one of the big things about Kid and Play was the visual things taking place now. Because now with Do This My Way, we are introducing the flat top now.
Yeah.
That is in play right now. Excuse the pun. So now when it's time to start touring, and I want to give a big shout out, as we always do, to the girls. Because one of the things in our camp, which was called Idol Makers, is that the strong is going to help pull up the next one. It was by design. So when you saw Shake Your Thing, we're in that video.
Right.
When you saw a thing where you're beginning to see these 2 guys with these haircuts in there, and that was by design. The girls looking out for us to be very visual, and then us with Kwame, and then with Sweet Tea. All of that was going on at the same time.
Marketing. early marketing.
That's what you would eventually call
Call it
marketing.
now.
or
Affiliate, it's like
branding,
affiliate
you know what I'm
marketing.
saying?
Yeah,
you know, so
because
it was
that
really-
passed on to the Tribe Called Quest, the De La Soul,
everybody
the
did
Jungle
it.
Everybody had a
Everybody
crew.
started doing
That's
it.
Everybody
Flavor
had
Unit.
crews.
That's Native Tongue.
Yeah. You know,
That's
Aquarium.
Boogie Down
Yeah,
Productions,
Yeah.
Juice Crew. There's all these
Crew.
crews.
D
you know what
Nice
I'm
showing up
saying?
in D Nice's video, and here's Miss Melody.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, I don't know. I don't know if we kind of. I think we kind of did that first, or made it very prominent. We made it very
Well,
deliberate.
you stood out a lot. The
Yeah.
hair,
Yeah,
you
know.
managed to stand
I
out
mean,
in
yeah.
this.
And then the tour they went on, which was the Slammin' '88 tour, where they co-headlined with Keith Sweat. Part of their deal with, you know, I don't know if there was Ricky Walker, but I think it was Ricky Walker, had us as the opening act on that tour. You know, for your seating pleasure. You know what I'm saying? But
Rolling
yeah,
with
so,
Kid and Play, fourth single.
Yes, it
that's
was.
Yeah,
It was. Yeah.
Was it Too High?
No.
No, it was,
It
what
was
it?
rolling. It was rolling.
Oh, Rolling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once
Yeah, Rollin' with Kid
once
and
the
Play.
album when they dropped the album, the single they dropped in conjunction with the album was Rolling with Kid and Play.
Now that go-go thing is beginning to happen because the
That's
girls
what I
are
was
doing
getting to.
that.
Now we start. Now we start into the pioneering era. You guys developed a lot of the dances that you were doing, not just the kick step, but a bunch of those other dances that you did in the Getting Funky video.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is, the question raises about who came up with what, whatever. It was always a collaborative thing because
Okay, so you put them on the map.
So many dancers, and whatever the latest dance was, and people had a certain style and a certain thing. So it was really just stuff that was like jambalaya. You just putting things together and whatever stuck and stood out, it did.
Yeah, the Getting Funky video was kind of our love letter to
Yes.
New York dancers.
Yes.
A lot of those cats that we came up with in the Lag
Good friends,
Waters,
yes.
in freaking where they used to beat everybody
Union
up
Square.
at Union Square. You know what I'm saying?
The World.
So
that was
yeah,
another one.
that's kind of what that was, and that was all the big dance crews at the time that we knew. We invited them down and we gave them all some shine as we did our thing, and that's what that time of hip hop was about. Dancing was very prominent. Like you had to. That was part of the
Cypher.
Yeah, the part and part of the way you had to entertain. That was part of it. You know, if we talk about kind of Calente and them with the James, that was a big thing. You know, that's just kind of what it was. And you know, we're all young and active at that time, so that was definitely a part of it. So.
So you saying that it was a collaborative effort where your signature dance came from, right?
What
Whose
happened
idea
was
was that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
happened
like-
was
Nonstop.
when it was time. No, what happened was when it was time for us to tour, because of the music videos, Kid and Play had to dance,
Right.
and we had dancers in it. But the promoter wasn't willing to pay us. You know, we're barely getting paid ourselves, so we couldn't afford to bring dancers. So
Right.
what we had to do was dance and rap. You know what I'm saying? And we went to our dancing friends, and along with dancing we already did, and say, hey, you know, what can we put together and do? But that right there was just really the the Charleston, with just two people standing in front of each other, kicking.
Okay.
And that's all dancing is. I mean, I did a documentary called And I Dance, where I got into the history of when you see even the Michael Jackson moonwalk. He didn't come up with that. That
No.
thing was way, way back in black and white movies and stuff like that. So it's
Right.
like sometimes it's hard to pinpoint, okay, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. You're just
Okay.
there having a good time. And what can we do in order to breathe and still dance? What's the easier thing to do? What can we take along with that till we can afford dancers to bring on the road with us? But we had Nonstop, TLC, Mop
IOU dancers.
IOU dancers,
Some great
all of
dancers.
them.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
We
So,
had all those dancing crews in
Yeah.
that video, and the goal of that video was to celebrate them. And we
Give
were
them their
up
flowers,
at
yeah.
145 St. Nick. You know, they wetted down the whole street. You know, and it looked like a Hollywood
Set.
back
Yeah.
studio. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Nobody
He was like,
was
yo,
outside.
I was like,
It
nah,
was
man,
crazy.
we
Oh,
uptown.
it was a great thing,
It
and
was
it was
uptown,
great.
yo. They just wet, they
Yeah.
wetted
Yeah.
so it looks real fly.
And
when
also to celebrate New York, period. You know what I'm saying?
No question.
We had friends who had their motorcycles. We representing that thing. Everything. We just tried to get as much in there to just show a block party at night, I guess. You know.
Then the next single, you're implementing go-go.
Yes.
Yeah, which was and that was like well, Herbie had already done that with Shake Your Thing.
Right.
And that was a big hit for them. And that was that, and not just that was a video. If you look at the Shake Your Thing video, you see us in the back, and we're all doing the kick step and all this. The girls was doing it too. And this is the thing about Herbie. Herbie knew. I don't know if you guys remember. Everybody kept saying, "Go-Go's coming. Go-Go's coming." You know, so close from DC that Go-Go's coming. It's coming.
With Chuck Brown and
but
EU
you know what?
and all those groups.
It never came. It never came here to New York like that. Not to dominate or not to be on the radio all the time. Excuse me, but Herbie understood that. And what he said was, I'm gonna take a smidge, get a little go-go, and then I'm gonna make it more hip-hop. That's what he did with Shake Your Thing. And that's what he did with Rolling with Kid and Play. Yeah, is that a go-go record? Yeah, it is. But it's got, it's not too much go-go. It's still, it's still kind of hip-hop, on the more hip-hop side of things. So I think Herbie was always really good at finding out what that blend was. Because, the go-go as we know it, like if y'all motherfuckers been to DC and been to go-go, that's go-go, that's hard, that's boom, that's you know what I mean? The music ain't gonna stop for like 2 hours. Right. We used to go see Chuck Brown. Music ain't gonna stop. That's the thing, and that's the real deal. That's the raw deal. He was like, no. Let me give him a smidge. Then we're gonna have a great hook, and then we're gonna and that's what that was. And to that point, that was our biggest record. That record was a game changer.
Okay, so let's start from that. You guys are putting that album together. You understand that there's momentum behind it, the singles that you now got that. What were the discussions like putting that album together? Because you guys think you know what you're doing. Here comes Herbie. You know you want his input. I can imagine what some of those debates sounded like.
Well, if I may say, I think we were trusting Herbie, for the most part.
There wasn't a lot
like
of
Kid
debates.
said earlier, we all had our roles. Herbie with the beats. It was always a conceptual thing, but Herbie with the beats, Kid with the pin game, me with the look, and even, concepts as far as music videos and stuff go. But still yet we all would have a say-so, or we're feeling this, whatever. But for the most part, we're trusting each other with it because it's proven. We're proving ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And having fun in the meantime. I don't think we made it that serious. You know what I'm saying? It was cool to be, we recorded out of Bayside Studios in Bayside, Queens. Big shout out to David Ng and Jimmy Young and Andre DeBorg. So, I think when Herbie would bring the track and Kid would hear it, as far as choruses go or themes, nothing was like whack. You know what I'm saying?
No, because we were all really honest with each other. Like, and anybody could say anything was whack.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like every hook I came up with was not. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hooks got tossed in the motherfucking garbage can. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't
you know what I mean? Nah, it wasn't. Nah, if it was whack, it was whack.
Right.
If it was dope, it was dope. Whatever it is, whatever any one of us brought to the table. But I could feel. I could feel us getting into a groove, and you know what? Our first album, Herbie was a big part of it. He came there, he wasn't there every day, but he was there a lot of days, and he was also there when it was time to like mix these joints and then put his polish and give it a little some Diddy shit or whatever like that, some Pharrell shit that they end up doing later. But yeah, he super duper great ear, and we were cool with that, we were
Trusted it.
we trusted each other.
Trusted the
The thing
process.
about Herbie was he wasn't a very on-time person. You know what I'm saying?
No,
He'd
he's not.
show up crazy
he was
late.
like,
that would interfere with
sounds
big
like
plans
somebody
and
I
stuff. Interfere with plans and stuff that we would have. Because if the thing was set for our studio session at 4, Herbie might show up at 8. or 9
God
or
damn.
whatever. You know what I'm saying? And where you gonna go? We got, and we don't want to talk about how frustrated he made these independent owners because he never made the deadline. The deadline would, as far as delivering the finished piece. Oh, forget about it. But people couldn't argue because he was delivering hits.
was
You
great.
know what I'm saying? So it was between a rock
Yeah.
and a hard place.
When he came, he would come in. He's like, whip, whap, woobity, babbity, bobbity. Take that out. Bing, do this. Hey, do that again. That's
Say it
whack.
like this.
Say it like this. Say it like that. And I remember in the middle of that making that first album, he would make you do it 20, 30 times in a row. He would make you do it over and over again because you didn't say it right. Because his thing wasn't just like, we wasn't just rhyming like, dugga, 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 get it, play. Nah, we was doing it like, we got the sound of time, we got the damn, the same way, but with emotion. That's like with how he did Salt and Pepper. You know, we just met. We can't do that yet. I'm not a pickup. No, this ain't a stick up. And that's not a pick up. They ain't gonna turn the kick up. And just rock, baby, pop, don't stop. Stick out your butt and shake what you got.
And see, we know
people
all
wasn't
that
rhyming
now.
like that.
We
People
know all
just
that
hard.
now,
Right,
but at
right,
that
right.
time, what made it so frustrating was we didn't know what was in his head. Every time I say do it over, it's like, what do you want? What do you
Right,
mean?
right,
you know what
right.
I'm saying?
What are you
And
trying
he
to
wouldn't
get me to?
necessarily, like Kid is saying it, he didn't do it like that. Like, say it like whatever. He just knew in his head how he wanted to be, and until you did it, then he'd be like, okay, that's it. But we would say it the way you want, and he didn't communicate like
He'd just
that.
be like, again.
But the thing about, I knew Herbie for a long time. We were and still is like good friends. The genius of Herbie was he's from Haiti.
Okay.
And when he came to the country and got introduced to pop music, that was, and then to hear people like the Cold Crush and all of this, taking these pop records and turning them into routines that we would call them and stuff. When hip hop came about and seeing how you could fuse all this together, because some of these things he came up with was melodies and stuff from pop records and stuff. Things from Casey Kasem from the 60s and 70s, early routines and stuff we would do. So when he had the idea, because originally Salt and Pepper was him and Cheryl. They were the Salt and Pepper MCs. It was supposed to be him and her together. It wasn't two girls and stuff at first. And Herbie was pretty good. You know, he did his rapping thing. He was a pretty good rapper and stuff. But when he found his,
He was, but
Yeah.
that wasn't really what he was supposed to do. I
yeah,
mean, you know
when he
what I'm saying?
found his place and his
Yeah,
spot,
he found his place, yeah.
It was on in pop.
I could run the whole shit. I ain't gotta just be a.
Because I could show
rapper.
you a record we did before all of this. It was called The Lover's Law by Quicksilver and the Super Lovers. You want to talk about bad records? Oh my goodness! It's on YouTube.
Yeah, you gotta make.
But yeah, we all had to learn and found our pockets and helped the girls. Girls helped us. Helped Kwame. Helped Dana Dane. Sweet Tea. Antoinette.
we be in the studio.
Lance and Omega, the two original members of the Kango crew, which was Dana Dane, Slick Rick, Lance and Omega. That's the original Kango crew before there was a Slick Rick. You know.
And the thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and the thing was, we would all be in each other's sessions.
Yes.
So you know, I mean, you know, if I'm sitting in the Salt and Pepper session now, and you know they doing a joint, I'm like, try this and that. You know, that's the type of thing. That's the vibe that was going down. And then when Salt and Pepper was trying to do their thing on their album cover or their gear or whatever like that, okay, then that's where he show up at, because that's his field of expertise. That's his superpower.
But what about actually getting on records with all of these artists?
Yeah, but
never
there's the
seen
thing.
that
We
too
kept.
much.
We didn't. It wasn't that time when you jumping on records that niggas that's not in your camp. It was all about our camp. It was all about idol makers.
makers.
Yeah, we're gonna jump on each other's records, man. We don't know these cats like that. You know, even if we like them, but that's not.
was
I mean,
very
that's how we were
competitive,
raised. If
It's
you ask-
very competitive then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
you gotta have- this
people
is
would-
our camp.
I put a post up about that because we had a good time doing Good Morning America recently with Tretch and Rakim. And when I saw the picture of us all joking together, whatever, there was a time when that would be, you'd be like, yo, what's up, what's up? And either one don't even answer the question. Everybody goes into their dressing rooms or whatever. Because it's very competitive, which was a good thing because iron sharpens iron.
Right.
But at that time, like Kid said, you wasn't doing nothing like that. I mean, when finally they did like self-destruction, you know,
Yeah.
and things
That's
like
why
that.
it was such a big
things
deal.
Like became a big deal, but for the most part, it's like, nah, unsaid.
No, the way we were kind of raised was, yo, we got like 4, 5, 6 group in our camp. You know, jump on their record and bring them up, or jump on the, you know, blah, 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 blah. That wasn't, you know, and guess what? I'm not saying it was right or wrong, but that's just how it was at that time. Everybody kind of kept things in house. Now it's a different time. Cats they cross phase all the time. Yeah, cross pollination, whatever you want to call it.
While some of it may be creative, a lot of people sound like a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And maybe that has something to do with it too.
I think so.
So when y'all turning artists down, like people that wanted to do features with y'all, did you turn artists down?
Or was nobody stepping in you
Nobody
for
was
features?
doing that. Nobody was doing that.
features back in the day?
No,
It
not
wasn't really like that.
It wasn't like that.
People had their camps,
Yeah.
and they kind of kept to their camps.
Now, seeing y'all in somebody
They
else's
might have
video
a
was a
problem
big
if you
deal.
just hung out with them on the regular. You know, not doing
was
it in
like
you.
that?
just-
Seeing
Yeah,
y'all
it was
in each
very,
other's
very
video was a big
competitive.
Nobody
deal.
wanted to do like
Yeah, because
a
we trying to-
feature with Kid and Play.
You had to
Kwame's
remember
coming
what
out, so we gotta
Sham
get
and
him up.
KRS was going through, and
Sweet
you know,
Tea
I
coming
know
out,
we
we
had
gotta
spoke
get her up.
earlier in regards to stuff with Luke and them. You know, all of this kind of stuff was kind
Yo, there you go, there you
We're
go.
gonna take a 5-minute. We're gonna take a
That was
5-minute
answering
break.
his question in
Yeah, there
regards
you go,
to
there
people
you go.
jumping
Right.
on other. It was very,
All right,
very
we're gonna take a
competitive,
five,
and not rivalries going on. You know,
We're gonna take this 5-minute break and
All
come
right.
right back with
Right.
actual conflicts.
Right. Yeah, he want the controversy.
But yeah, because the album is out. The album's out. The crew is solidified. You guys are seeing success, and now here comes all this other stuff. And in the mix of you pioneering things, clothing line. Were you the first rapper with a clothing line to own his own
believe so.
clothing line?
Totally.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm an
that-
outsider, and I could say that as a fact. As an
Yeah, gotta
outsider,
highlight that.
foreplay.
I didn't have nothing.
Yeah, all the leather goods and jackets that we couldn't afford.
Denim.
Well, my mentor and friend was Dapper Dan.
That'll do
And
it.
when I had
Shout
the
out to
design
Dan.
for the girls' clothes, the first ones being the jackets that they wore in Push It, that I didn't have a store at that time. So I designed it, but I got to meet Dapper. He loved the design because most people were coming with him with the Fendi and the Gucci's. He had never seen something original. But the funny thing about Dap was that anybody who messed with him was that I'm waiting for a pause coming.
Nah.
That's why. I'm watching my words now. Anybody
What you did?
No, I'm so sorry.
But I had to put them on though.
You could have left
No, I love it. I love it, man. I mean, you know, we getting each other's number, but yo, this is me. But anyway, the thing about Dap, anybody was, you know, getting stuff from him, very, very rarely were they done on time. And what Herbie and I knew we had to do was once he was gonna put the outfits together, that I pretty much slept there. I stayed because we had a deadline for those jackets to be done for the Push It video. It was been done, I think it was in New Orleans. It was in Florida.
Yeah, it was in
And I literally I lived there because being in front of somebody the whole time, they know we gotta get these jackets done.
right.
So I was there in the back where, you know, what they call the Africans, where they was
Yeah,
putting things
Africans
together.
is up in there working
Yeah,
hard.
man. So, and what made it so crazy was getting those jackets, because they already left to practice and get the video going. So they was trusting me to get the jackets done. And if you notice in the music video, their big logo is behind them.
Mm-hmm.
I did that by hand in my place, which I almost died because I didn't pay attention to ventilation, putting the windows up. So with the spray paint and all that stuff I had to do. So I had to bring that big logo, backdrop, and their jackets there and get that done. But then when I finally got more money, things was getting good. That's what I put my money to, was my own operation, which was Foreplay. And at that time, that's when Dap got in trouble with that whole Tyson and Mitch Green thing.
Right.
Where Tyson, where Mitch Green was messing with Tyson in front of his spot.
Yep.
Everybody that was looking, the Gucci's, the Fendi's, everybody was looking for this guy, Dapper Dan, that was putting this stuff together. By that thing taking place in front of his place, they knew where he was at now. And that's what kind of knocked him out of operation for a while. And I wanted to be that dude, you know, in that spot, you know, till his return, or to work together and put together other stuff for our stuff. I did stuff for Michael Jordan. I did a lot of stuff for Heavy D, for Public Enemy, a lot of cats.
He was the first hip hop dude to do clothes. That's just facts on stacks on flex on tracks.
He still got
Cartoon.
bars.
2 Live Crew.
No, we getting there.
Let's go
I
to Two
wanna
Live
go
Crew. We
through
can
the
get
good
back
stuff
to the
and then we can get to the
cartoon.
drama.
What happened with Two Live Crew?
You know,
See, you go.
That's a good story.
No, what
And I
happened
think
was-
if you're trying to go in order, this is probably this might be in chronological order.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
You know, so all right, explain.
We did BET with the girls.
Explain that part.
And
The girls being salt and
Salt and Pepper. Yeah, we was on one of the shows. It might have been Video Song, something like
One
that.
of them shits.
And the question came up about girls being used.
Objectified.
Objectified.
And, you know that
We
music
didn't
was
say
popping
a
off.
word.
No.
It was Salt and them. Salt, I believe in particular, is one or all of them. They had every right to feel a certain way about women being portrayed in that way. So we were guilt by association. You know what I'm saying? We didn't say a word. So when Luke wanted to go in on the situation, talking about the girls first, then he went and said what he said about us.
Right. He
But
had a,
what was our term for? Because I didn't get mad at it. It was true what he said about
let
me.
me do it in order. Like
He said ho
No,
play.
wait,
I
that wasn't the first one.
good.
That wasn't
not a poll.
that wasn't how it
Not a
started
poll.
at first. At first, to react to that, Luke he used to have this record on a lot of his old albums and cassettes. It was called I Ain't Bullshitting. And basically he was just like talking. They had a beat playing in the background. He's just talking. He's not rhyming and nothing. He's just talking about motherfuckers that he don't like.
Right.
Nah, like that. So then he said some shit about us. And it was like, hold up. I said, yo, motherfuckers talking shit about us. We didn't even say nothing that day. You know, we were in the back chuckling about something else, you know, but it had nothing to do with that. But he kind of, you know, he jumped on us. So I think we had an album coming up. So, you know, we wrote
Question.
something. We wrote something about him
Which
called
album?
Next Question.
It was called Next Question.
Yeah, it was called Next Question that Pete Rock produced. And, we dealt with Vanilla
Hammer.
Ice,
Hammer.
a Hammer, and
Those were
Luke.
dish records?
Totally diss records.
Okay.
Yeah, the shit
wanted
was
all
hot back
smoke.
then. And
Yeah,
I was like that. Right? So we just, we boomed them, we boomed them out. We was talking about Luke, we was talking about thing, we was talking about all that, right? And then we put that out on one of our albums. And then the next record that Luke came out about us was called Pussy Ass Kid and Hoe Ass Play. And they just talking about us like a dog. Like, these motherfucking pussy ass niggas ain't boom. And what is Kid and Play supposed to do to combat that? That's like, I'm thinking, you know what, we might gotta squash this because
They was on street time.
they was on street time. They was on pause. You need to pause. But what ended up happening was, luckily, we had so many kind of common friends. And that's how that ended up getting deaded. But there was times when we were, we were like running to each other at airports, and he got his.
I never saw him on. It makes it so crazy. I just met him for the first time, like this year or the end of last year.
Well,
we did a thing together, and I walked by his thing. His dancers wanted to take a picture with me, and he popped out, and we both said, "Hey, that's why we never met each other." Shook hands. I just seen him recently for the BET
Yeah, he was there.
thing we just did.
He was
Ran
there.
into him there.
He was there.
So I had never saw him, but when I heard the term hoe ass play, I was like, yeah, I'm a hoe. I'm, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
No,
wasn't
but
even this.
pussy ass kid. No, I don't like
Yeah,
that. No.
that I understand. You know,
Don't
You
like
didn't
that.
hear a
But-
story
but-
about you and this dancer situation, you stripping somebody, putting them in the elevator and
Oh, okay. You talking about peekaboo? Oh, you talking about peekaboo? Okay, so when we were on,
what?
when we were
Wait
on,
for it.
That was Kid and Play antics, or the crew, all of us as a crew.
yeah, this is when we were on those Public Enemy tours with Public Enemy and Heavy D and Digital Underground, and I think Kwame was on some of those tours, and we were, and there were always lots of
Pranks
that you could get into.
Antics.
So I think and this footage is available. It's online. Like at one point there was I think it was one of Kwame's dancers, this guy named Peekaboo, he was always getting into some shit. He was always like, pranking motherfuckers. So everybody was just like, yo, today this bill comes due. So we're walking, we going, and we know where he's at. We know what room he's in. We know what dressing room he's in, whatever. So on our way there, we come past Tupac. And Tupac was always down for whatever. He's like, yo, what's going on? What y'all doing? We said, man, we getting ready to hem this motherfucker up right there. He's like, ooh. He was down for whatever. He ain't got nothing to do with it. But that was his vibe. He was like, his beef was your beef. And that was one of the beautiful things about him. But it was always like, that could be a dangerous thing too. But not that day. We just like, yo, we finna get this dude. So sure enough, we go.
I'm sorry.
We go and we get the dude, and I think we stripped him naked, and then we threw him in the elevator and sent him back to the lobby.
Cats wore boots and stuff. Then we take off our things and like.
Oh, we beat his ass. We beat his ass. We beat his ass with like Doc Martens. And
exactly.
Whatever we were wearing at the time.
Yeah.
Beat his ass, butt naked. Then put him on the elevator, sent him back to the lobby, and said.
What did he do that he violated so hard?
Nah, man, yo, he's annoying,
Back then,
annoying,
we were looking for reasons to get into
annoying, man.
Like we had this other thing called when you got with whoever got with the woman that was the least attractive of the girls you saw that night, because there was always every night getting with some girls.
Take a loss for the team.
So whoever was with the one that looked the ugliest, sorry women, that we had this thing, that was when Batman was popular, like first Batman movie.
Batman.
We had an all black shirt with the Batman thing.
Wait, because an ugly girl or whatever, if she was, they called up, yo, that's a bat. You fucking these bats.
Yeah, I was going to go.
Bats, nigga.
Matter of fact, the whole thing was wombat. She was a wombat.
Yeah, but the bat was up in there.
Yeah. So we had this shirt with the Batman logo on it in yellow, and whoever was with who we considered the worst looking one that night had to wear that shirt for 24 hours. On the entire tour, but one day for 24 hours.
24 hours.
The shirt could not be washed.
So who had to
So the next day,
yo, this is a 40-day tour.
Exactly.
Oh shit.
So you had to wear that shirt. So whoever the next one. So as this shirt is getting mustier and whatever.
No, wait. And the other part is, for that 24 hours, your name was Batman.
Oh, that's
like,
right.
you can't call this motherfucking name, right? So guess what? I never got the shirt.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
He got the shirt.
He got this shirt.
He got the shirt. He wasn't happy about it. But he had to put that crispy. Yo,
but listen to this. Listen to this. Everybody else that was part of the crew. They was doing the crew stuff. I had to wear it on a day where I had to do the show.
We had a show.
So I couldn't wear the normal stuff that we would normally wear, the flamboyant stuff.
Batman shirt.
I had to wear the Batman shirt. All sweated up and funky already. I am sweating it up.
We in town in front of like 10, 20,000 people, and he's like, yo, kid, what we gonna do tonight? I said, I don't know, Batman. What the fuck are we gonna do?
My name in the show as well. I'm not playing anymore. In the rhymes, I'm
Batman.
All of this stuff. That was a crazy stuff.
Batman.
It was all kinds of antics and just crazy fun stuff. Yo, we were out there. But that Batman shirt.
Now,
by the time that tour ended, that shirt, you could put it and it stood up on its own. That's how funky and cruddy and stuff it was. It was crazy.
You wasn't allowed to wash it, and you got it,
and to sleep in it and everything. 24 hours. 24 hours.
Who came up with that game? Who came up with that?
I don't know, but
Don't ask me.
Everybody just started adding rules on top of it.
Yeah. We had, that was shit. Yeah, I mean, you ain't fucking these bats.
Beat downs when we did the Pika and other people, because Pika refused to get dressed. When we put him in the elevator, he's walking around the hotel, different floor, butt naked, scaring up the people in the thing. And we're looking through the peek hole, and he was a very flamboyant, very loud.
He was one of Kwame's backup dancers.
Talking smack all the time.
But this was the thing, like, it wasn't like, look, and these were the same tours that, for example, I think it was the same tour where Troy passed away.
It was, yeah.
When Trouble T. Roy from thing when he fell off the thing.
Heavy D's.
This was one of them same it was on the same tour. So I mean this thing, and we're all young, and so it's exhilarating, but it's also like,
and that death came from a game. We had this game where it's like, you'd pick up an apple or something, and I throw it to you real quick. And you wouldn't know, but you had to catch it. but if you didn't catch it, you're gonna get a beat down. So that was a whole thing, like catching somebody, I'm throwing it to you real quick and I'm looking at you. If you dropped it, you're gonna get a beat down. You know what I'm saying? But the thing was, first it was a piece of fruit, then it turned into different items, then it turned into a big laundry cart.
One of them trash carts.
Yeah, trash carts, and we're throwing it to
the
each
wheels
other.
on them.
And when our road manager at the time threw the cart to him, he decided to jump up on this ledge that was up like on the 3rd or 4th floor of the building. It wrapped around the parking deck or something, and the cart hit his foot, and he lost his balance and went down head first, and that's how it was.
So that's murder, ain't it?
Well, the
Yeah, but you know what that
gentleman-
is? That's like motherfuckers play too much.
Yeah, the gentleman. is-
Remember that one?
He never got over that. It just he just.
No, I don't think any of us did. That was
Yeah,
like that was
like
one of the
crazy.
most horrible
That's
nice
crazy.
things.
The
That was
group
like
was never the same.
no,
So that it was safe to say that's like one of the worst experiences that happened on tour.
absolutely.
One of them, yeah.
On-
I
on
mean,
tour?
we had a lot of fun too, because one of the things we would do with Public Enemy and S1Ws and stuff, we put on their gear and go out there and do the step during their live show. Kid would put the hat on, his high top fingers up there, but we didn't tell Flavor. So when Flavor came out with do his thing, he's like, oh, yeah, he's like bugging out. So we do stuff like
They
that.
let us be S1Ws, which is
Yeah.
kind of disrespectful, but we were just like,
And then
I'm like, they let us though.
We were on the tour that the first tour that NWA ever did.
Yeah, Kid and Play and NWA. It just
All that in
feels
that movie,
right.
Welcome to Compton and all that stuff. That was all of us together.
Yeah,
That
they
was a
didn't. They
tour.
didn't put us in the movie because that's not really on brand.
They didn't really mention anybody else in it because it was Public Enemy and all of that and stuff. But that was
Yeah.
defining and historic. That was interesting because when they wanted us to do that tour, I said no, because we were familiar with NWA from times we was hanging out in LA doing the movie. So we was hearing the cassette tapes before they even like blew up. And at the time I cursed like the best of them, but this was like something new. These cats was like angry, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I just didn't think that was a fit. But I made a bet. When we wrapped up one of the tours with Public Enemy, it was that last night. So everybody's going to, as we normally do, hang out in the hotel, get with girls get with guys, the whole nine. All I wanted was a virgin pina colada, but I came down kind of late. Everybody's doing. So I'm go to the bartender, like, yo, can I get a virgin pina colada? Evidently he was having a bad day. He couldn't wait for his shift to be over. He's cleaning up. I very rarely play the play card. So I'm like, yo, let me get better light. Let them see who I really am. Yo, can I give I don't care who you are. I'm closed. This is it for the night. So I get with the crowd or whatever. The guy, Darryl Brooks, who's the part of G Street, one of the producers of most of the tours, comes and wants to, I already said no. I was like, yo, I'm not feeling this. So I wanted to be fair. So I said, well, you know what? I'll make a deal with you. You give me a virgin pina colada, we'll do the tour. He didn't know that I knew that this guy was angry and he wasn't making no more virgin pina. He wasn't making them for nobody.
Right.
I get talking to a girl, whatever the case may be, I get this tap on my shoulder. He doesn't come with one virgin pina colada. He comes with two.
For you and the girl, you told me to.
No, it was for me. He could care less about the girl. He's like wanted to do this deal.
Right.
So I didn't realize at the time why it was so important for Kid and Play to be on this tour. But come to find out, the promoters, for insurance reasons, wasn't feeling the tour with NWA and Public Enemy. They felt it was going to be too violent. You know what I'm saying? They needed a group like Kid and Play to be on there to come bring balance and a Heavy D or whatever the case may be. So we were a big part of another thing that a lot of people aren't aware of in regards to how things came along.
Yo, it was hard to get insurance in some of
Yes.
those buildings, some of those arenas. You know, so a lot of times, look, Public Enemy, they would call us, you know, those early 90 tours, you know, they were going out every summer, Public Enemy tours. So you'd get that call like about February, you know, Chuck is gonna call you and oh, we gotta call the phone, we gotta get it on and I'm like, all right,
Kid and Play.
all right, Chuck, we're gonna be, oh, we gotta send the phone to play. We're gonna need a Kid and Play. I'm like, yeah, man, we coming, bro.
So, I mean, but imagine an NWA and Public Enemy. You know what I'm saying? It's a
We gotta get in the building,
website,
hey,
whatever. So-
we're gonna need some Kid and Play.
Did the fans take to y'all? That sounds like that doesn't sound like
This-
your crowd at
This
all.
is the thing. No, but that was our mistake. We thought they was two different audiences. They were not. That was part of our thing. We was like, yo, man, ain't fuck with these gangster ass motherfuckers. That ain't the same flavor. Yes, it is. They like this sometimes. They like that sometimes. They like, oh, this is all hip hop. It's all hip hop. Whatever you
And
talking
we
about.
all had a ball. It wasn't like
Yeah, and we got to know each
all had
other.
a ball. But pranks, all kinds of stuff, jokes.
Yeah, man.
All that. I was dating very seriously one of their dancers. It was a very nice girl. You would thought she was a stripper or something. Nothing further from the truth. Cats had the persona they had. They did what they did to survive where they came from. But these guys was nice guys, man. They was like really, really.
Then we got to know each other,
Yeah.
and that was East West Coast, and we was just like, yo, these dudes, like, they just, you know, we're all chasing broads. You know what I'm saying? That's a common bond. You know, we shooting pool. We, you know what I'm saying? We blowing trees, whatever like that.
I remember.
And these are friends to this day.
And getting funky is don't even mess with us. We're getting funky, but we changed the lyrics on the tour. Don't even F with us. We're getting funky. We went to a town where they were going to arrest you for cursing any foul language. So everybody now is like, okay, what are you going to be? You going to stick to who you are, especially Public Enemy. So that particular one, we came out instead of saying no, don't even F with us. You said, don't even mess with me. We're getting funky. The joke from that whole time, every time we ran into anybody from that crew, don't even mess with me. That's what it is.
No.
Time.
I remember we were in the van back to the hotel with Ice Cube and them. Ice Cube looked at me and said, "Don't even mess with me."
Yeah.
Shout out to
Like,
Q.
I'm not trying to get arrested. And like, you see, we done jumped in the van. As soon as the show was over, we had to jump in the van and get the fuck out there.
Oh, yeah.
He looked at me. He said, "Oh, I see y'all tonight. Don't even mess with me. We getting funky."
A lot of fun.
What you trying to say, Ice Cube?
It's very interesting in this. I know we already introduced you guys, but it's so much of an honor to even be sitting here with you gentlemen right now. I just want to say that at the age I am, I'm the child that was listening to y'all. One of the first hip hop songs I ever remember listening to is, you know, the one that you just mentioned earlier. You know,
right.
Yeah, and I used to listen to it over and over and over. So what I want to say is, my parents was one of the parents that thought hip hop was a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't accept it. They didn't want to hear it. It was you guys that actually helped usher in you, Will Smith, LL Cool J with I Need Love, help introduce them to a whole different light to accept hip hop and listen to it in a different ear. So what I wanted to say is, now that we bringing all of this up, that you guys, y'all, in my generation, y'all like legitimized hip hop, which you just said about the insurance, which I didn't even know anything like that.
That was
But
real.
y'all legitimized hip hop for the older people, which actually opened it up for the whole world. So everybody that's watching this that don't understand that, we wouldn't even have hip hop the way we have right now if it wasn't for Kid and Play. These guys were the pioneers for commercial and not commercial in the way. If it wasn't for the commercial, it would have never got introduced to the world. So let's make that clear, you know. Because I even heard earlier you say something about your greatest hits. Some of your songs, like, oh, you want to stick to, but if it wasn't for those hits that you named, that was what my parents heard and was like, this is not that bad. This is good. So fast forwarding, something I want to know.
Sure.
So getting to this NWA thing, you know, so I was the kid that was listening to KRS One, you guys, and everything like that. And, you know, that was pretty much a positive type of flow. And then NWA did drop. And as a child, I went from a shift from, you know, listening to the dance music, good music, to now thinking, I'm a nigga on the run. You know what I'm saying? My life on the line, the cops want to kill me.
Nigga with an
You know
attitude.
what I'm saying? I'm a nigga with an attitude.
Hey.
My mindset wasn't even like that. My sister's a bitch. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even hear anything like that because I was raised off of you guys. So, in my world, in my mind, I often think, was that a systematic setup to get rid of you guys and, or, you know, the original people that I grew up off that was actually making my generation a positive generation?
Basically,
And-
y'all had a message.
Yeah,
music
and
had a message.
shifted to
Well,
this gangster rap.
if you're talking about, there was a time like in the mid '90s, we had to get low because the vibe had changed. We have the late '80s into the early '90s, a thing in the music and the movies and everything. But by 93, 94, 95, the vibe had changed. The gangster rap was hitting. And we were considered, we weren't hard. And so I think, I think we took some blows on that tip. And so I think what we did, and I think it was the right thing to do at the time, we kind of got low. Thankfully we had some other things to do individually and collectively. But those groups, that got you excited and your parents excited. That wasn't what was happening in the mid '90s. Mid '90s, the gangster stuff was hard, was very popular.
Did you feel pushed out?
I feel differently about it all. It's like, there was a time where there was a hiatus that I would call it, because there was a certain type of vibe taking place where you had people who experienced another thing of life that wanted to talk about it or glorify it in some ways. So, us in our lives, because of the fruits of our labor, which was so grand, there was things going on in our personal lives. We got married, got divorced, had children, wanted to experiment in regards to individual things that we were into, that we could afford to do, which would be hard to do that and do that. We didn't want to insult our audiences or our fans by being something that we weren't. All of a sudden we talking gangster. Nah. But when we did the album Face the Nation that I really loved, we dealt with more topical issues then. Like one was called about, what was going on with the epidemic with crack, things that was going on politically and stuff. We wanted to bring attention to that. Did people buy into it? Yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't as big as the more commercial stuff we did. But we fell back because, like I said, we're taking care of stuff happening in our personal life. We know we didn't fit with what was becoming popular, but it's interesting to fast forward today how all of this stuff cats are together, even backstage at the Pastor Mike thing that we just did. So many different representations of lifestyles and the music, from Onyx being in the building, we hanging out with them, Nice and Smooth, Tretch.
Nice and smooth.
But the cats that you think is the hardest, and they are when they need to be, they're the most comical prankster guys, whatever, 1 and 2, the cats talking about how much we meant to them. We talking about how much they meant to us, stuff we weren't even sharing with each other. We didn't even know that we were all paying attention to each other's stuff and silently kind of bigging each other up. But based on what you're talking about, I didn't get it at the time, but I was proud of our place when it came to that tour and what it meant, because these guys was talking about what was going on in their life. Things weren't always a house party for them. So they did it the way that they expressed it. But when we all hung out behind, after the curtain, we were all the same. Cats love girls, poetry, watching certain kind of movies you didn't think certain people would watch, you know what I'm saying? And music outside of hip hop. Like what bugged us out is Flavor Flav, we were stuck in that big earthquake in '93 in LA. And we was in there with John P. Key, LL Cool J, Flavor was there, the whole nine. We all stuck in the Nico Hotel, that's what it was called at the time. Not knowing what to do, earthquake just happened. Flavor Flav gets on the piano, and this cat, classical music. I mean, playing it yo, and it's like, this is Flavor Flav, you know what I'm saying?
Jamie Foxx was there too.
Jamie Foxx singing, all of that, because we all trying to keep our mind off of this earthquake that just happened. But just to see people be something different and more to what you see at face value, because Eazy-E was a nice guy, man. I know in his element he had to be what he had to be, but the girl I was seeing at the time and was serious about, he was like a father to her. So I had to go, when it was time for her to come with me and come live with me and all, she really wanted his blessing. So I came up with whatever. He's like, he liked me. He was cool, you know, and good. Just take care of my girl. Take care of my little
How many
sister.
of those people knew that they were chilling with a former stick-up kid,
Exactly.
son of a
That's what I
drug
wanted
dealer,
to get- That's what I
who
was
had
about to
things
say.
in the house that could have sent his father back to like?
I think people know people. People, you feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Energy.
Without having to say it. You know what I'm saying? It's a certain vibe or whatever the case may be. Because Kid and I, we know game. You know what I'm saying? We've survived here in these streets, man. I mean, when we was doing the things we were doing, we were one of the rare Queens people out of our area, East Elmhurst, Corona. And big shout out to even Corona with Cool G Rap and
Polo
you know,
from.
Polo coming up out of there as well, along with Eric B and the rest. But we would venture out into areas that cats wouldn't dare go, because cats out there get you for your sneakers, you wear sheepskin coats, all of that stuff. We went to Harlem, we went to Brooklyn, we went to other places. That's how much what would inevitably call hip hop meant to us.
See, but you would figure that a group like Kid and Play would get a pass. You
We
don't
got
get-
mad passes.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
We got mad passes, but I also think that particularly when we started traveling and we were hanging in
Do
LA.
you like to call power?
Harlem on the rise.
Pause. Not the right time.
Is that your parents that you was talking about?
I mean, even the tours were right now. I'm
She
thinking
like
about
you could
times
tell you was talking about it. Yeah, you talking about me? Harlem on the rise.
being with the Ghetto Boys. That was, you know, touring with them. You know, what's monumental to me is because I was a big, you know, CeeLo player, dice game. My biggest loss was with Willie D, $1,700. You know what I'm saying? It was like, whoa. And you gonna get paid Willie his money. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I mean, we got, especially when we started spending more and more time in Los Angeles, we were doing all these movies and all this and that, and, you know, TV shows and whatnot. So we were spending way more time in Los Angeles than we were spending here. So you just gotta kind of check your surroundings and be like, okay, how are we gonna maneuver this? And then you see what's going on. But what we found out was, if you, and this is what we did, you gotta figure out who these bosses are, and when you run up on them, or when y'all run into each other, you just give them theirs. You give them theirs, and then there's never a problem after that.
Well, the one that comes to my mind when you're saying that is Mike Conception. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Out in LA.
My conception.
And I remember we were doing something. It might have been a music video or something. And one of his people came over and said, Mike wants to meet y'all. I'm like, who the heck is Mike? You know what I'm saying? And here's this dude in wheelchair, but powerful cat, you know? And he's like, yo, you know, I just want to let you know anything you guys need or whatever. He didn't ask nothing of us or nothing like that. He just
No, but and
liked
I
us.
think you know, yeah. And Mike was, I mean, I spent a lot more time in LA, and you know what I mean. You know, he was a boss. He was a boss of bosses, and the thing was, you know, I don't know. People they just like us. Even the gangsters, they like us, and we knew enough coming from New York. Well, you know, you got to show respect, and so we did. So when you got that tap on the shoulder and you say, "Yo, man, Mike want to holler at you," you like, "Man, well, yeah, let's go, let's go," and we just chit chatting and this and that, and you know that's how we were. We had no problem acknowledging who the bosses were in these new places that we were and you know, venturing into. So.
Right. I just want to say something in reference to what Bigga stated, right? He asked the question about, did you feel it was systematic, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times it is systematic, for the simple fact that when you look at how hip hop has evolved over the years from the 80s up until now, when you have positive groups coming out with positive music and there's an influx of people that buy into it, and then there's a shift, automatic shift, because now you have gangster rap. What happens is the business of music, they're gonna go with that. They're gonna say, this is what's gonna make us money, this is how we're gonna pay these artists, whatever.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with the general narrative.
Get these happy motherfuckers out of here.
Yeah, exactly. It's too much positivity going on. Now the problem with that is, I mean, the good thing that happens later on is stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
Is that you're being recognized. Everybody's going back now and saying how we didn't know this stuff.
Right.
The thing that I'm mad at,
Remember how good we had it? No, we had
Yeah.
it. We had it good. We ain't even know.
the thing I'm mad at is that this isn't documented. like what you're talking about, watching, you know, Flavor Flav playing the piano, how great of a guy Eazy-E was, right? Of the phone calls
we don't
from
hear
Chuck
those
D to go
stories.
on tour. You don't hear those stories, and there's no footage of it, but it's now being recognized in the 50th year of hip hop. So I do believe it's a systematic thing. Like over time, it's like we're gonna go whatever the general narrative is. That's gonna make us.
Yeah, but
It
look,
also has a lot to
everybody-
do with what's refreshing to the ear.
Right.
Because
the
sometimes it
other
gets to a
part.
place where so much of it,
They just
someone
need
comes
something
with
different.
something different that now happens to be what would be called gangster rap.
Right.
And now you have a lot of people who are wannabes.
Right,
Because just
right.
like we sit back and we enjoy Martin Scorsese films with the gangster stuff or whatever, or Scarface, you know, you're feeling that way in the music now, where some people want to be that, or they just like what they're hearing because it's like a good movie.
It's
That was the great
dangerous.
thing about Biggie. He was a great storyteller.
Absolutely.
With Tupac, it was the energy and the passion and stuff. So people are living vicariously through these people
Right.
as they're telling these stories. But as a good friend and pastor friend of mine, Dr. A.R. Bernard out of Brooklyn, CCC, Christian Cultural Center, says when you take a truth to an extreme, it becomes error. And now you're doing so much of it, and it's now it's like life is imitating art
Right.
instead of art imitating life.
Right.
And it gets basically out of hand. And now people that have the power to misuse that. And now this is where the systematic kicks in now. It's like, this is what we want to do. Let them do. One of the things that disturbed me in Godfather, I think it was the first one, where they're sitting around the round table and Don Corleone is back from getting shot up or whatever, and they're talking about selling heroin.
Right.
And he's like, well, we'll go ahead and sell it, but I don't want it in our communities. Let
Right.
it be with the niggas, because all they do is just, I'm paraphrasing, destroying themselves. Same thing with the music. Go ahead and let them overdo it with that, kill each other, show them for what they are when they start getting money,
Genocide.
material gain, look at what they do with it. And that's embarrassing to me, you know, when I look at how far we take that, and we take that too far. But I do believe on that systematic tip, you have people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see it in the
Nah,
food.
Can
as
we
well,
get
but
back
it's
to
another
like
story.
kid and play happy
Okay.
shit?
Wait.
We done went down a dark corridor.
It's necessary. It's
I
necessary.
also agree with Bigga, but my analogy is a little different. I always see it as all good things come to an end, right? Everybody's era eventually comes to a stop.
Right.
Sometimes it's violent, sometimes it's quiet, but eventually everything in hip hop shifts. Now there are always going to be people who take advantage of the turmoil and the upheaval, right? Fights get more attention than somebody giving somebody a hug.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, two people hugging on the block, nobody stops. Two people fighting, everybody stops to watch.
Yeah.
If NWA is talking about the kind of lifestyle that he kind of came from, but he's not talking about it, and all we've had up until that point is Heavy D talking about being dope, talking about getting girls, Kid and Play talking about being dope, talking about dancing, talking about getting girls, Kwame talking about being dope, talking about getting
Even
girls.
a nice and smooth.
Nice
all
and
that,
smooth.
Houdini.
Nice.
We had
all
cool
of
G
them.
rap though. You got it.
Yeah, but
G-rap.
that's again one guy, you know what I'm saying, who stood out because of what he was saying in an era full of dudes who all were just dancing, kicking it, ain't gonna hurt nobody was a big record. You dig what I mean?
Yeah, amazing. I know people need that right now.
Oh, dude,
They need
without
that
question.
record right now.
But that's where I'm going with this. I think the first switch was inevitable. NWA, the exiting of the feel-good music, the ain't gonna hurt nobody music, the exiting of that and entering the gangster music. I think that was inevitable.
Yeah.
What I think is being done intentionally and systemically is the forced stoppage of the eras switching back. You dig what I mean? I think what's being kept out of the mainstream is, well, we don't want to talk about just spinning the block and ops. How about we just talk about being dope? Or how about we talk about girls?
Right.
How about we talk about something smart? Like we can be hard and gangster, but how about we talk about? I think that part is being purposefully kept
Yeah,
out.
but
now.
but that's doing that in our community. Dude, we be doing these I love the 90s joints for like the last 7-8 years, and they have no problem bringing that whole flow back to it.
Sellouts.
You know what I'm saying?
Selling out or selling out.
Yeah, I mean, you call it what you want, but
No, that's
but,
sellout. I mean, sold out audience.
Sold out.
yeah,
audience,
oh
sold
my
out
God,
audience,
sold out audience.
Yeah,
I've sold out audience. Like I'm telling you that Radio City sold the fuck out. All New York old school artists. No, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like you know every artist, you know every joint. You know what I mean? That audience is still out there.
I think it's being.
And that's why I said the great thing is that it came back around.
What is left is the diversity. We remember a time in radio, the playlists. You had individualities. You knew you knew that was Heavy D. You knew that was Public Enemy. You knew that was whoever.
Can't tell the difference.
That's what kind of came back at Radio City, was that playlist, the diversity.
The diversity.
Now, when you listen to, like, I've been in a car where I've been with younger cats playing today's music, and it's just so repetitive. I don't know when one artist begins and the other one ends, all due respect. But even the music isn't anything that makes you, uplift you, or encourage you. It's more like put you in a trance.
And lyrically, it don't spark you.
Yeah. And all due
lyrically,
respect,
it don't spark you.
Now, I think you're dealing with things coming to an end. The best that ever did it to me, or among the best, would be Public Enemy. Because with Public Enemy, you had some of that NWA in it, where it just wasn't too extreme. They dealt with issues that we could all relate to in real life. Then you had some comedic thing in there with a Flavor Flav.
And it
911 is a joke. All of that stuff
And the
going
beat
on.
slap.
And it slapped.
That was just great. And for them to headline, and then Chuck appreciates everyone's message in their music. He sees the value in every other artist, from Digital Underground to Kid and Play to Heavy D to Queen Latifah, all of that. Everybody was represented. But yeah, I mean, it's just a very. I don't know where hip hop is headed now, and if it should even still be called that. You know what I'm saying?
It should. We shouldn't be run off the name because of what.
No, you don't run it off. I just think there's a certain era that's definitely. Hip hop was love, peace, unity, and having fun. That was the motto with it. When you deal with Africa Bambaataa, Zulu Nation, and the whole nine.
Or when
now, I'm not saying it's bad to say that it should be called anything different. I just think maybe it should be something of its own, because to me, it's not like what it was.
It's definitely not. You seen the last BET freestyle cypher?
Yeah, it was trash.
Did y'all see that?
No, I didn't even know they had one.
What you talking about?
It's
No. What was
terrible.
that? Wait, it wasn't at the BET Awards. They didn't have one there. You talking about last year at the Hip Hop Awards or whatever?
Yes. Last year, October.
I know which one.
All right.
Terrible.
What was so whack about it? We get some bunch of motherfuckers you don't know. Was that the problem?
It was.
What was the problem for you?
The problem for me was that, first of all, I couldn't understand nothing they were saying.
Yeah. And
That's number one.
what was the problem, that they all sounded alike?
Absolutely. They all sounded
I can't
like.
differentiate.
Me neither. And that's the problem.
Well, we lost the individuality because that's not where the corporate powers believe the selling point is.
Yeah, it's business. At the end of the
Okay,
day.
all right, but this is what just we know from facts, from having lived through it. And there was one of those great things about this Cassidy show, because it showed how diverse that hip hop from that era was,
and somewhat the evolution.
And we were all right alongside each other. So Kid and Play is right alongside MC Search, right alongside Special Ed, I Got It Made, right alongside CO Smooth, right alongside KRS, right alongside. No, all these groups, they don't sound nothing alike.
Right.
But why does it still fit?
Because
it's still fit. It's still hip hop.
It's still hip hop.
It's still hip hop. And like I said, I don't have the answers to it, but I do know that. And this is, look, when we did last week at Radio City was something we've been doing since we first jumped out the box. We talking about 80s, early 90s. We played with all these groups. That's why it was so great to see me. Like, oh my God, it all fit, even though we weren't all clones of each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, can I ask this question to everyone? What is hip hop?
Beats to the rhyme.
Is it are we talking about the music, or are we talking about the culture?
I was answering the question musically, but it's a culture. It's bigger than just music. It's b-boying, it's DJing, it's graffiti, it's MCing, it's all the elements that encompass a culture.
Oh,
yo, you got it.
You been drinking? I'm left-handed, so I tend to lean to the left a lot. No, I'm good. You good? I believe that hip hop is a universal language for those that don't have a voice or didn't have a voice. It became a language for you to express yourself in a way that was creative, that is acceptable, and that allows you also to, have some financial gain as well. But it's a universal language that allows the unspoken to have a voice.
It became that.
I think that from my understanding that hip hop is some form of a culture that was made in the inner city that happened to be that black people come from, that black people created, and it's a culture. And it was.
It is.
And it will have graffiti, break dancing, along with the rhyme to a beat, and all of those things is combined in hip
So
hop.
talk about what's going on right now. What's up right here today?
Well, I'll never forget something a great friend said that broke it down, his definition of hip hop. And it's interesting when you talk about words, groovy, all that stuff people will use. He says hip. Hip used to be, yo, are you hip to this? Yo, you hip to what's the latest thing? Are you hip to this
Clothing,
thing that's about?
music,
Not even just,
everything.
your general information, what's happening in Hollywood, are you hip to it? The answer is hopefully yeah. Or if they ain't, you're telling them what's hip. Hop is an action. It's like now that you have the information, you act on it. You move on it. You get it in motion. And I'll never forget when he gave me that definition. So to me, when you say hip hop, people normally automatically go to the music part of it. But to me, I think it's just so much more. I think it is actually a culture. Maybe a subculture, but it's a culture. In regards to, it's just so many things to it. I mean, I don't think Obama would have been president if it wasn't for hip hop.
No,
I can
of
see that.
course, yeah.
So how can
agree
you
with
just
that.
put it in music? How can you just put it in clothes? Because this man affected and inspired
Facts.
so much going on.
And guess what?
And he
He knows
used to
about.
dance
He
to
knows
Kendrick
about
Lamar.
that.
So for us, always just putting it into music. Music is just
Music
rap is the music of hip
It's-
hop.
Exactly.
That's why I
So
think it's
now
a
listen to
language.
what we're listening to now. Like I said, all due respect, some cats might come at me because the young girl. It's like, would you say that that's what's going on with what's in our ear today?
That's rap music. It doesn't necessarily have to be hip hop to be rap music.
Yeah, you got neo soul. You got all kinds of
Lauren
things.
Hill is considered a hip hop artist. And
Would
she
Mary J.
rap
would
like
Mary
to
J.
it-
Blige be considered a
Of
hip-hop
course
artist?
she is. Of course she is. The queen
No,
of
I'm
hip
not
hop.
just. I'm not saying.
No, I know you're not
Exactly.
questioning, but I'm saying the queen of hip hop soul, universally
Absolutely.
recognized as the queen of hip hop soul.
Would you consider Usher to be a hip hop artist?
Sure.
Why?
Sure, but I think he's a classic.
He's
R&B.
leaned on hip hop.
His producer, one of them anyway, Jermaine Dupri.
Two of
That's
them,
hip-hop.
him and Diddy,
And Lil Jon.
him and Diddy. I think Usher is
all
a hip
hip-hop,
hop
nigga.
child, a child of hip hop, a child of the culture, who's an R&B singer.
And that's how I feel about today's artists that are rappers. I feel they are. Some people would call it. What's that word they call it? A strain.
They in the
Strange.
family.
Not strain. A strain. Like when you're dealing with chemicals
Oh, a
and stuff
strain
like
of, okay.
Strain, like
you
a
know what I'm
strain,
saying?
yeah.
Because, and I heard something that was really funny one time, and it's all due respect to the new artists. They say the rappers from the 90s who were once drug dealers and became successful, but they
be
were once
rappers.
drug dealers, today's rappers
Yeah.
bought those drugs from those artists, and that's why they sound the way they sound, like they're on
crazy.
drugs. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's pretty
They're
powerful.
the children of all the guys you sold drugs to.
Yeah, exactly.
You
know
sold
what I'm saying?
drugs to a bunch of people. They had kids.
Yeah.
But what's amazing to me, and there was something you were talking about with the whole pause thing, is the fact that when you get with today's kids listening to their music of today, they understand
Right.
what they're saying in that.
Sure.
You know,
Was Kid and Play the first group to ever have a cartoon?
I
either
believe
y'all or Hammer.
I know Hammer did, but I think
No,
Hammer
we was
came
the first
after
rap
us.
group. We was
The
before
first
Hammer.
group.
Yeah, Hammer
Rap
was
group.
after us.
Rap
No, we was
Yeah.
we was the first rappers. We was before Hammer.
Yeah.
Hammer was the year after. We was on NBC. He came on the year after that on
ABC.
ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was the
Clothing
That was
line.
the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clothing line, cartoon,
Movies.
comic book,
Movies.
and multiple movies.
Yeah.
How did House Party come about?
Well, it's interesting because they pursued us, Reggie and Warrington Hudlin. They gave us updates every step of the way of how this screenplay, the script and stuff, this idea they had for a movie. It was originally supposed to be for Groove Be Chill.
Right.
You know, if you listen to some of the names in it, it's them.
Right.
But because of our popularity, because of how Reggie and Warrington felt about us, they pursued us. I didn't think it was worth it because we were making money on the road with our music that we had never seen in our lives. I'm thinking, breaking it down like I normally do, look at Wild Style. It's a cult classic, but not a box office hit. Beat Street,
Crush.
very
Breaking.
heavily anticipated. Didn't really do much, and kind of most hip hoppers didn't feel it met the mark,
Right.
even though we was excited about Harry Belafonte being behind it and the whole nine. Then you had
Breaking.
Crush Groove. I love Crush Groove.
Me too.
That's my joint.
Okay, but then there was a powerful rap group that made a movie a lot of people don't remember or even know, Run DMC.
Tougher
Did a
Than
movie
Leather.
called Tougher Than Leather.
Yeah.
That was an action movie.
It was like almost like it was almost playing homage to the '70s.
Yeah, it was like,
movies,
they were
you
like
know what I'm saying?
action gangster.
that.
That was like
Bad Boys
action
do a
gangster
movie too?
Much later. Disorderly.
Disorderlies.
But that movie didn't do well at all. Tougher Than Leather. So in my mind is if Run DMC can't do a hit movie, who is Kid and Play to think we can
Right.
pull it off and we ain't really know these cats or whatever. But I was outvoted because the crew was, or the trio was myself, Kid, and Herbie. It was always majority rules and anything that got to that point. So they outvoted me. And Kid looked at the script, felt it had promise.
Well, no question. I mean, I didn't look at it that way. I understood what Play's concerns were, but I didn't look at it that way. When I read the script, I was like, you know what? By then they had been putting some scripts out in front of us, but I was like, you know what? This is the best one that I've read, and maybe it was like, maybe it was like 70% there, and I was like, I think we can bring it. I think we can bring it the rest of the way. So that was my report. I was like, yo, I was like, we can fuck with this. And then we went down that line or whatever, meeting with them bringing us in front of New Line Cinema,
Did you guys-
hierarchy and shit like that, and
Did you guys have a say-so on who acted in the movie? Because I see Martin, you had Martin, and you
Nah.
had Tisha
Well,
Campbell.
No, not at that point.
Just backing up a little bit, something that always comes up is that New Line Cinema wanted to hedge their bet more in regards to investing in this movie. So they felt that the best people that would help that would be Will and Jeff.
Right.
That's who they wanted. But behind the scenes, it was an interesting dynamics going on because at the same time, New Line Cinema was trying to sue Will and Jeff for Nightmare on My Street, which was a rap record they made that it
For
was
Nightmare on Elm
feeling
Street,
that
Freddy
they was,
Krueger.
the whole Nightmare on Elm Street. So Will and them's thing is like, you got to be crazy. Suing us, you want us to do a movie. But Reggie and Warrington always wanted us to do it. And that's why we went and did this thing that was very awkward in front of them where they would name out stuff for us to do and to do, some impromptu acting. I thought we did miserable and kind of left in my spirit with my head down low. But when it was time to leave, it was in the city, downtown, or uptown, East Coast, whatever. And school was just letting out. We didn't know it, so we're getting ready to leave. Our music videos and stuff are out at that time.
Okay.
All the music videos. So one of the VIPs was going to leave for lunch or something like that. So he said, well, let me walk y'all down. And right when we came out, all these kids was out from school and they mobbed us like we were the Beatles or the Jackson 5. He rushed back upstairs and said, no, these guys are it. Let's go ahead and go with them. So that's how that happened. But in regards to what he asked about other people being in the movie, do we have a say-so? I know you went to LA because I was building my foreplay at that time. I know you went out there to see the tryouts.
I mean, I
and
had to read with a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
I made myself available to like read with people that they had. Yo, we think about this dude. Can you read with him? I was like, yeah, I read, but I read with motherfucker. I want the best people. Da 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 da. And that was the great thing about House Party, the original House Party, is that was Kid and Play the stars of it on the top line? Yeah. But everybody else was really, really Really
Martin
good,
Lawrence,
man. Yeah,
Tisha
like-
Campbell.
Yeah,
Tashina Arnold.
No,
Nah,
Tashina
Tashina
Arnold wasn't
wasn't
in
in
it.
She wasn't.
No.
Oh no,
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 the other
AJ.
girl, I forgot.
She
AJ
looked like her.
AJ.
She
I
resembled.
think about Lil Shaba Haru because her
Yeah.
name was Lil Shaba
Yeah,
Haru.
because it was said like that.
Yeah.
AJ, you talking about AJ Johnson?
yes.
You
Full
talking about
Force.
Full
Full
Force? You
Force.
talking about so
And a lot of other cats.
Why
too.
was the second movie so cartoonish though?
well, it's a different
Different
director.
director.
He fucked it up.
Different
in my
director.
opinion. He like ruined
Different
the
director.
I
aesthetic.
think it was
to me.
classic.
No, the second one, the first
was a
one was
cartoon.
classic.
You're
The
exactly
second one
right.
was like super cartoony.
It was a cartoon.
It was
Well,
like
it was because it was. I remember there's a part where I'm in.
It was a
I'm
cartoon.
running a
You're
record
right.
store, and the guy that was there, he does like, they put that sound effect
yeah,
in there and all that kind of stuff.
smashing the girl behind the counter. Everything's
Yeah.
rumbling around.
They had
Yeah,
mad
all of
channel. Yeah, they had mad accounts. Yeah, that was a different.
But
Director.
that was good for Martin though. That was his breakout performance because that was the one where he and I get into a
and
fight.
we not only did we not I don't want to say like we let him, but we encouraged him. We gave him the best opportunities. Yo, yeah, boom. And it's not like he came up with these shits. You know, a lot of times we was back behind the camera and say, yo, my nigga, dude, yo. shut
Martin
up,
or the
shut up."
director?
I'm telling you, we telling Martin that.
Oh shit.
Because we know it's gonna be good. So the
and to
director,
others.
yeah,
And
and,
to
and
others.
we'll tell the director too. You know what I'm saying? But also that was the environment that we had. You know, you could tell, yo, my nigga, dude. You know, this take. You know, just do this. Just do this. Go for that. You know what I mean? I don't care. Yeah, we're not even in this scene, and we're just like, yo, money. And so to Play's point, that the house party 2, that's where he got off.
Right.
And then after that, that's when he cops Def Comedy Jam.
His big scene was with us having. I did something with his check, and we're in the car, and he's sitting in the back there, and he's like, "Look at him, ass out."
Yeah,
And that was when we was watching it with an audience, and they laughed. I mean, and I said,
Shut up, Bilal.
And I said out loud, I said,
Stick ass
this
breath.
is it. He's out of here. I knew it right from that
But we
scene.
wasn't. We was about that. We was like, yo,
That was intentional.
yeah, let him
Wanted
get
to get
let him get biz.
You know, with
And then he
Robin
clowned
Harris,
you on Def
these
Comedy
cats,
Channel.
these cats are comedians. Let them go. Let them do
Right.
their thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, you got the script. That's the guidelines. But the great thing about Reggie is, how would y'all say it? You know what I'm saying? Say it how you would say it. And
Yeah,
that would
but
be
Reggie
the
was
thing.
gone by then. Now,
No, I'm just saying in regards to
the original, yeah.
Genius,
I mean, and good directors do that. They let you. They give you some stretch. If you're talking about House Party 2, where Martin had an opportunity to break out, yeah, that's George Jackson and Doug McHenry, who we had a great relationship with, and they let us participate. And they would let me every day. I would go to watch the
dailies.
I would watch the dailies, man, and that was unheard of. Like you just didn't do that back in the days. You didn't want these actors all over your thing, but they let me do that, and so that I can get a sense of where we're going. I could relay that to Play, and these different house party movies, 1, 2, and 3, they were great opportunities for people other than ourselves to kind of get off.
Immature.
And a lot of them do. They got off and then
TLC.
went off and things. TLC.
Rest in peace.
Immature.
Bernie Mac.
Left out.
Rest in
Immature.
peace.
Yeah, be come on.
AJ Johnson.
Yeah.
him,
G.
the-
Johnson, the man
Ex-concaterers
AJ
and all of
Johnson.
that
Yeah,
stuff.
so
all those comedians in there. Oh, are you? Oh shit. I'm mad. I just thought it. I'm mad. I just remembering this.
Sam-
you know
say
the
Crazy
rumor.
Sam.
The rumor is that
Crazy
y'all saw Baby Boy, right?
Yeah.
The rumor is
Oh, right.
you're Jody's father.
Yeah, I remember seeing that going viral.
There was another rumor too that Martin is your cousin.
I've heard that. And it's like when people approach me with that, and if I have the time, I say, listen, his first name is Martin. My last name is Martin. That's where people was always thinking those
Yeah,
were Martins.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
His first name is Martin. My last name is Martin. They're like, oh, that's right.
Okay, but you still might be Jody's father. Play might be Jody's father.
Yeah, I don't remember. There's a lot
You
of love,
dated AJ in the movie. She don't show up for part 2.
Yeah.
She could have had a baby, had to drop out, couldn't go to college.
I remember seeing that.
Next thing you know, she's living in Mama's house, and she got Jody. Your ass is nowhere in sight because you're the original tramp.
Jody.
So you nowhere in sight. Now we got baby
How come
boy.
y'all never came back to revisit these other house parties that took
They
place?
were in the last one.
We did a cameo.
What, the last one where they in LeBron
cameo.
James'
Well,
house?
Yeah,
James,
they
was
were
in
in
that
that
cameo.
one. They were in
They
that
was in
one.
a cameo.
Yeah, a little cameo, you know what I'm saying? That's
They
not,
were in the Illuminati.
let these youngins have
It's
it.
about getting the bag. You know, so that's the bottom line.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying? You know
You know what I'm
getting the
saying?
bag.
Like, it ain't.
Nice small
Can we
fortune.
see Kid and Play on screen though, doing anything like?
It's got to be right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had the privilege of hanging out with Quincy Jones for a while because he wanted to know if anybody would ask me what's my one regret, might have been us not doing a comedy because he just came off of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He wanted to do
Sitcom.
another sitcom, and he had this idea of Kid and I living with an older white man, having to share an apartment, and that man was Don Rickles.
Oh my God!
And I didn't see it. But I'm like, man, looking back at it, I said, you know what I'm saying? Who knows?
You don't never
But-
see nothing.
Yeah, it's been a few times.
Well,
since,
but that
you
was a
know.
mutual thing. It was like, well, but he wanted to be in the Kid and Play Girl. Like, what do we want to do? And still to this day, I would want to do a remake of Uptown Saturday Night because I feel it's very age appropriate. About two guys who just want to have one last fling going to a club, and the Sidney Poitier character just happens to have a lottery ticket that ends up hitting, but that club they go to, it gets robbed. And the robbers don't know, Geechee Dan, played by Harry Belafonte, didn't know that one of the wallets that they had in this thing has the lottery ticket in it. So it doesn't have to be exactly like that, but he loved it. He wanted to get Sidney Poitier's blessings and Bill Cosby. We went to Sidney Poitier's home, more like a villa, and had his blessings and bestowed great wisdom on us. We did meet Bill Cosby. That was a little shaky at first, but he warmed up to us. It was at some function. Had his
He offered me
blessing.
a drink, but I didn't drink it.
Pause.
That's not a pause.
I love it.
You ain't
But,
finna have no house party in my butt. Hey!
That's a pull.
That's okay.
You gotta pause your man on that. That's a
So-
pull.
That's a pull.
That's a
we got the
super
blessing.
pull.
They started developing the
Yeah,
script.
thank you, Play. Come on.
They started developing the script, but it just was getting crazy. It just wasn't, it had holograms and all the stuff that was going on. And but a friendship came out of it. It was just real cool. We hung out with him like for a while to try and get something popping. But that's
It's
how
hard,
that went.
man. Sometimes it's hard to get those, especially when you're thinking big and you're trying to get these big projects off the ground. It's hard.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
I would
even-
love to do that. I still
Yeah,
think
dope.
that would
You
work.
like
You know,
that.
Uptown Saturday Night. That would be,
Great.
really, really dope.
Do you guys? I don't want to keep you here all night, but do you guys feel appreciated? I know you still tour. I know you're still active. I know the crowds are still loving you, but as far as your contribution is concerned,
I do, because it's interesting, you know, the way you even started the show, which I get it, but when people go, the most underrated, or they don't get their whatchamacallit, it's like, we do. It's just something that we didn't hire a publicist to be showing whatever, but among, you know, when we get around some of the hardest rappers, even relevant rappers today, and I see them in the airport stuff, you know, they start bowing or they turn into fanboys and fangirls themselves. With the crowds, the people we meet, you know, it's crazy love or whatever, but you know, it's interesting, you know, even when I met Allen Iverson for the first time, he just went, oh, you don't understand, man, you know, I wanted to be you, I wanted to be Blade Brown. I'm like, Allen Iverson? You know what I'm saying? So cool, what a cool guy. I love that dude. But just
AI,
people
pull up,
we meet.
pull up, stop playing, pull up.
Stop playing.
Like you gotta,
Yeah,
you
it's
gotta pull
just
up.
people
24 on
we
the scrap.
meet.
Stop playing.
There's no love held back. You know what I'm
Practice.
saying? At all. So I mean, maybe if we hired a publicist to show every moment that we appreciate and see the love, but it's there. You know, it's there.
Yeah,
and
no,
I
I-
think we're confident in ourselves. We know what we've done and where
Yeah.
we've
Oh
been.
no, I would totally agree with that though. And now that you know the phone's still ringing, and you know we travel a lot together and separately.
Yeah.
But it's a vibe. It's a vibe, and it's kind of weird. Sometimes it'll bug you out that after all this time, You know what I mean? I'm big with. I'm big with some, people's moms and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I was at an ATM. I think I was in Dallas. And there was, it was a little shorty. She was a little shorty, a little slimmy over there. She was, getting him. And then I noticed she looked at me. She went, and I'm like, oh man, look. Young shorty trying to holler at the player. I said, let her get a little money out there. And so she goes around, waiting on the side, and she comes out and she says, oh my God, I can't believe that you're here. I was like, yeah, it is what it is. And then she whips out her phone. She's like, can you talk to my mom? Can you talk to my mom? And I'm like, give me that. What's up, Arlene? She had an old school name.
You wasn't around no.
What's up, Arlene?
Maddie.
Yeah, Maddie.
Laverne.
But I'll tell you what does bother me, that those that I don't feel get the credit they deserve, would be Heavy D. You don't hear about him as much as I feel he should. Houdini. You don't hear about them as much as you should. There's artists that just even with this whole celebration of hip hop, and to me, even Grand Wizard Theodore, cat responsible for the scratch, to this day, dope DJs do that. And here's the guy that invented it. Why isn't he not more celebrated and known about? A lot of these people are still living.
Hip hop is different, man. We don't celebrate our elders a little bit, but not the way we should. Not the way rock and roll do.
Definitely not the way rock and roll.
Rock.
Not the way they do.
Woman signed to a major label. First woman on television with SNL. So much. Curtis Blow, more. You know what I'm saying? It's I that's what gets to me in regards to those that are not getting.
I bring those two names up. Houdini and Curtis Blow. Anytime I get into a debate with a younger cat who wants to tell me that his generation pioneered melodies, and I have to stop him and be like, you just didn't go back far enough.
As far as ill rappers, where's Spoonie G? Not being mentioned in this joint, man. You know what I'm saying?
I don't hear about Molly Moore that much either, man.
No, you bullshitting, bro. Every producer that comes in here names Marley like his top.
What I'm saying.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Did you hear anybody say anything about Molly Moore at the BET Awards? Did you hear Molly Moore being shouted out at the BET Awards?
Did not.
No.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, any producer that comes in, artist, they do give Molly Mar's flowers. He's one of my favorites.
Every
he needs to be celebrated more too.
Who's come in here names Marley.
Absolutely.
No, you're right though. Yeah. You're right.
But
you're right.
The grand scheme
no, that's what I'm saying. You're right. No, you're 100% right. But the producers never let Marley's name get any dust on it. Every producer we've ever had come in here and like, yo, Molly Ball.
He's not just a DJ. He was a producer. He producing shit in the motherfucker. These niggas is doing the vocals in the bathroom, nigga, in the place in Queensbridge. Like that.
As far as radio goes,
those joints you love.
Your Lady B, your Awesome Twos, your Mr. Magic, your
Supreme Team,
Supreme Team, all of that, all of that, man. It's like that's what gets to me is why those aren't more.
But you guys do realize that hip hop would not be what it is now if it wasn't for you guys.
I beg to differ, but I hear where you're coming from. I think we played an integral part.
Yeah.
We're breaking the wall.
Exactly.
One thing that I will accept is that our contribution where hip hop met movies, met theater, we showed that there was
a little bit more. It's a little bit more.
Y'all did a lot of open doors. Y'all did a lot of firsts.
You did a lot of firsts.
A lot of open doors.
And what Biggest saying needs to have more sauce on it, because there was a time when we were fighting for credibility, and our parents did not fuck with hip hop. We were being shut down, and it took a Kid and Play, a Heavy D, a Kwame to be like, Listen,
Right.
look,
Mom
look.
loved Heavy D.
Funhouse.
It's
Listen
not-
to
it's
this
not
record.
crazy. It's
There's
not
no
that crazy.
shooting in this.
Yeah.
There's no killing in this. We're not talking about
No.
They're not talking about going to jail. No, Ma, listen.
Yeah.
For the like
Yeah,
this,
we're
y'all.
kicking it,
Like
we're
that.
dancing.
It's all fun.
She's
Yeah.
trying to do the
Girls,
dances.
They got look at the clothes. They don't look like hooligans. Like look, they got vests on
No
and suit
hoodies,
jackets.
no,
Yeah,
And then y'all did a
You do
movie
that?
of going to college.
mad pastels, all kind of
Educating
like,
our
evolution.
custom leather
Made
jackets.
it look cool.
Custom leather jackets.
Yeah.
You know, we
Made-
helped
made going to
support
college
stuff.
look
We
cool.
we filled the void and created
Class act.
some
Because what
parts
came
in the
out?
bridge.
Hold on. Because what came after House Party 2?
Class
What?
Act.
Class act.
No, and even after Class Act, television wise, the door opens up for
In living color.
No, a
And
different
Prince of
world.
Bel-Air.
They are part of the Cosby
A
Show.
different
and all
world.
of
That whole
They are-
Ron,
they are-
Ron,
Living
They are part of that whole
Oh,
thing.
shout out to Queen Latifah.
They are part
Shout
of
out
that
to Queen
whole
Latifah.
thing.
But when
That's
I
hip
talk,
hop.
when we
Nice
talk,
kind of world.
when we talk about Ron and Dwayne Wade, who are they if not these
Yeah.
two dudes in college?
Absolutely.
Like that's the blueprint for that.
Right.
And that's what I said earlier about systematic. Somewhere, somebody saw something and said, oh, this is not the way I want this angle to play out. I wanted it to play out here. And don't take no offense, Ice Cube and NWA, because, you know, I
They were
understand
necessary.
those are
They were
my
needed.
brothers, but I understand that
Yeah.
some things should not be promoted to the children. And that's what I wanted to ask you earlier. I know we got to wrap up, but why didn't you promote to the children in your rhymes that who you was? Because as a kid, when I was growing up, that was told to me that who you was. And it was like, you know, we listening to that, but then real people on the street told me, no, that dude is really this.
Well,
You know.
well,
But you never said that in your rhyme.
No,
Slick
we
Rick
was
never
not.
said
And
in
guess
his
what?
rhyme.
These are the same. Some of these same cats, as Play said, these are the same cats that we've been on tour with. So we wasn't trying to knife them or stab that. We were just like, we were more like, yo, this is who we are. This is who they are.
Play your
You
position.
should like all of us.
You play your position.
Whatever you vibe is. If you
EYP.
like Ice Cube and you like like he said, we was all on tour together. So it's all hip hop, and it's how you feeling at that particular time, and it does go together. We thought it didn't go together. That's why we didn't want to tour with NWA. That's why we didn't want to tour with Ice Cube and all that. And we had to be proven wrong once we got out there. It was like, yo, it's still all hip hop. It's just, you know, it's what they want at that particular time. So, it didn't make sense to reject our hip hop brothers and sisters just because that wasn't our particular style of music.
Right.
You know, we were like, nah, and we were, by then it was too late. We was all friends. When we got on tour with each other, we was just like, yo, man, I'm sorry. I know he wants to kill people and police, but I kind of like the guy. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Play, I have
you know what I'm saying?
I got a question for you. This is one I think Bigger would have asked, like my bigger question. You had a moment, remember that last single, the last record I saw you do when you were talking about going through the life and how it ended. And everybody's run comes to an end, or they decide to stop making active records, et cetera, et cetera. But you stepped out on your own and kind of made a point. It looked like that come to Jesus moment where you went through this whole thing. Hey, it was okay. You know, it was at a good time, but this happened and this happened and this happened. And then you were very, very publicly giving your life to Christ.
Right.
The tramp, the guy who we knew got all the girls, all of a sudden is living a righteous life. What was the moment that made you?
Kid and I, and me in particular, because I can't speak for him in regards to what's going on inside of him, we reached the pinnacle of success. We reached it, point blank. You know, our thing was we wanted to be like Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier in regards to how many movies they did. We did that. You know what I'm saying? Married some pretty hot women. You know what I'm saying? My ex-wife, Sherry Headley, known from Coming to America. You know, he got married. Cars, all of the materialistic things, all the stuff that was supposed to fulfill me, make me feel content, and this is it. The more we were getting, the more miserable I was getting because it wasn't doing for me what I thought it was going to do for me. So I remember I lost interest in wanting to do any more recordings as far as, Kid and Play. I kind of overwhelmed myself with the clothing shop. Then I had barbershops. I was doing the most. And then getting married, and that's a new world and all that kind. And then she's pregnant, with my second child. So it was a lot going on. And then the change with the gangster rap coming in now. So much was going on. And now I'm not being 100% in a lot of these endeavors. And one in particular, my marriage, is this woman that wants to get a divorce now. We're public, so this is public. What the public thinks of me, it means everything to me. You know what I'm saying? Being a part of being fame. The businesses, at that time, it's pages. Every time the pager goes off, I know it's something, some brush fire I got to deal with at one of the businesses. So to make a long story short, which is too late, I wanted to end my life. I was trying to work up the courage, like for 3 days, to pull the trigger to one of the very guns I used to use to stick people up with, 38 snub nose revolver. And I cowered out on that. But what came, which I know is going to sound odd, is I had a pretty impressive sound system in my home. All of a sudden, I didn't press the button. This record came on by Ron Canoli called If You Could Use Anything, Lord, You Can Use Me. And that story was like speaking to me. So I just started playing. I don't remember pressing the button or whatever the case may be. So at this time, kid's doing his thing. I'm not really knowing what he's up to. I'm hearing things, he's doing, living his life, whatever. But for me, I just wanted to end it, but I didn't. And then I got involved with,
God, you didn't.
yeah, I got involved in gospel stage plays. Interesting enough, that's how I became really close with Ralph Tresvant. He was doing them, Lil G from Silk, Damian Hall from Guy, Tony Terry, Shirley Murdoch, Ollie Woodson from The Temptations. Was having a ball, but I was still going through a lot. So, in my prayers, and just get right to the point, Lord just started speaking to me and saying, listen, you did pretty good on your own. Give me a shot, not literally. Give me a shot. Just do what I need for you to do. I'm asking you to do. Just say my name. Tell people the truth about my life, that it would encourage other young people that's about to go through what I was going through. Because see, what the angle was is, by me dropping out of school, you can be able to tell people want to end their life when they have nothing. I want to end my life and I have everything, but I don't have him. So by me now in the gospel plays doing my part, which was like church on the road or whatever, he's like, I'm going to restore everything back that you had before. But me and Ralph used to have this phrase go, we're going to get it back, because Ralph was going through some things. When we get it back, we're going to do it the right way. That's still our joke to this day. Do things the right way. Treat that woman the right way. Handle that money the right way. Handle your friends the right way. And that was my promise. And fast forward, here we are today, And the interesting thing is, when we're not doing this, I'm an artist in resident at some university. I'm at my 4th university now as a director of production at Virginia State University. A person got kicked out of 5 high schools. My relationship in the higher learning thing, but it's to tell people, I can't tell you what's right to do, but I can sure tell you what not to do. That's my thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's solid.
But a very instrumental cat in my life. You know what I'm saying?
I can't tell. Like,
well, a lot of us don't know what we do for others and don't even realize what we're doing. But with me not going to high school, I went through a very unorthodox way of learning, because he didn't know words. He knew things. So I would get intrigued with words he would say, things he would say, how to say it, and asked him and another person, help me out if I'm saying a word wrong, or if I interrupt you and I ask you what that word means. We went through that phase. So that was my schooling in a way, to be able to hopefully articulate myself as I do today.
What's next for Kid and Play?
You should apologize.
Our deal with each other is when it ain't fun no more, we're good. So just, right now it's just
we're very fortunate the phone's still ringing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Phone's still ringing.
We got a good support system.
Yeah, legendary.
a caddis by the name of Valentina that
Valentina.
is a
Shout out,
blessing,
shout out.
and other people in
Shout
our camp,
out.
other people in our camp as well. So we got a good
Yeah,
little
Henny
thing.
Savant.
Yes.
Your numbers with O'Henny.
Oh, Henny Savant. Yeah. That,
If you guys go to my Instagram page and see me posting this dude O'Henny Savant, this is
Same here.
the
Same
contact for this is the guy behind.
Yeah.
Well, O'Henny Savant's self-made monster, but this is this guy's support.
That's great music.
Both of them actually are. So
Yeah.
that's super dope.
That's great music right there.
Fellas, one of the things that should be next for Kid and Play is you apologizing to Kaepernick for that skit you pulled on.
Oh, you boy, you pulled that out.
I'm done.
You pulled that out.
Hold on.
Right, as we get
No,
ready.
don't ask another question.
No, hold up. What was it like dating Shanae?
That's a dude, yo.
Pause. That was a pause.
There you
That's
go.
a dude, yo.
You did all that just to get a point.
No,
Anyway,
but I'll say this. The
episode.
one thing I say about that is, look, if you in this game long enough, you may bump your head from time to time. And that was a situation where I clearly didn't understand the moment. And, I was not, I fucked up on that. And that was, that was a bump. But one of the cool things about it was we had enough stock in the game that people, they kind of not look past it, but they were just like, they said we can weather this, and I was like, when I look back at it now, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about. And I think that our fans, they gave me a pass, and so not a pass, but they were understanding, and I think, because I don't have a right to fuck up the Kid and Play brand, and I almost did that, but I think, man, that time was like really different, and normally I'm like really, really cognizant of things like that, but in that respect I wasn't, and so, I took a hit, but I think our fans and my fans they were like, all right, bros, don't do that shit again.
Right.
Do that shit again.
ladies and gentlemen,
Don't you do that shit again, nigga. Turn that camera over here.
the legendary
Don't you do that shit again.
Kid and Play.
Hey.
Yo, Hoffa, we want to see you.
It's Hoffa, trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars, I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work, you heard. Making fiends leave earth, you heard. Got your baby mama thirst, you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf, you heard.